Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start the recording now. We have been talking and talking and talking. I probably should say my room's a mess. I'm in the middle of building out this server here, getting ready to move in a year. So I'm really putting all of my old hardware that has been offline. We'll talk about that later. So the chat has kind of been focused on, home lab kinds of things. Including, and then we spun off into languages, which, by the way, next week is Go. So we're going to do Go come hell or high water. Next week we're going to start Go. We're going to learn it nice and slowly, so nobody need to worry. And we're going to do hopefully things that are memorable and relevant. All right, so what are we doing today, though? All right, so we have a couple of configuration things that are still left to cover. I've covered these things a lot before, but we're going to cover them yet again in order. And it goes next week, so don't get too excited. But, oh, by the way, I need to announce. So the VM Boost image link is broken because the person hosting it decided to take it down without telling anyone. Which I knew would happen, by the way. Every time I trust somebody, this is why I'm such a cynic. This is why I'm a cynic and I don't put anything out that's not my stuff. So apparently this download the OVA file link is now broken again. No preview. Oh, wait, it's still there. Maybe it's back up again. It might. Oh, no, I put it back on Google Drive. So actually that might be the one. Oh, I know what it is. This one works. This one works. There's another one that doesn't work. All right. So there. Oh, guess what else? Guess what else? If you go back and look at the videos, one of the Q&A days, I figured out how to do a capture card to show how to install Linux onto your own computer. So if you want to run your own server. So we're going to add that to the boost at the end. So sometimes after Go and Git and SSH and GPG, we will do how to install Go on your own machine. How to install Linux on your own hardware. The reason that's at the end is because, and we have to do Docker too. Ugh. So we're going to probably do that later. The reason for that is because you can spend up to a month trying to get all of the things and you end up losing a lot of time when people just want to learn the terminal. And that's why we use a virtual machine to get started in the boost. But that is the natural next step, and we're going to keep going with that. In fact, we might just keep going. We might go to the next step after that, which is build your own server and then set up KVM to virtualize your own server instances and, run Kubernetes. I mean, so we're just going to keep boosting until we can't. So... as long as it's fun like this. If it's not fun, I'm not doing it. Dude, it takes, 10,000 hours. Yeah, well, just this stuff, all the stuff that we've been doing, we haven't even covered networking yet. All right? We haven't even covered networking yet. So we're only covering 2 things today. And I know they seem like they should go really quickly, but every time that I think that, it doesn't. Can I just say how grateful I am for the pace of this year's boost? We're going on week 15. This boost has already gone longer than any of the other boosts of any of the years we've tried. By putting the boost on Saturday or on Sunday for 4 or 5 hours, we were able to stick with it, and then people can fast forward through it. We got rid of a lot of the problems with. And it's not searchable yet, but we will make it that way eventually. So I'm super happy with this year's boost. And in fact, I'm so happy with it that I'm kind of wondering if we need to do a fresh one every year. Maybe we can just iterate on this one and kind of clean it up a little bit. As long as a lot of things haven't changed, if they're still the same. But we'll get better and better and better every year. All right, so Tmux, the theme for today is Tmux screen, multiplexers, and using the terminal for research. And I got to tell you, I have been using the terminal for research for the last 2 days like you would not believe. If I had to search, we're going to get there, but I cannot overstate how valuable it is to learn these things. So yeah, here we go. All right. So let's do tmux and screen. So we're gonna start from the beginning. So what is tmux? Or actually, what is screen? What is Linux Unix screen? All right. So the screen command is a thing. And we're going to talk about configuration. We're still focused on configuration. We already talked about how to use it a little bit, so we'll review that, and then we'll talk about how to configure it. So let's read about it. Let's just introduce what it is. So screen. I know you're like, well, I want to learn tmux. Just bear with me, okay? So the screen command in Linux provides the ability to launch and use multiple shell sessions from a single SSH session, or from any session, really. It doesn't have to be SSH. When a process is started with screen, the process can be detached from the session and can reattach the session at a later time. When the session is detached, the process that was started is still there, etc., etc. And this is the fun part where I get to show you my new server. All right. So believe it or not, I have a one of those Mac Minis, Mini 1 over there. Let's go attach to Mini 1. Okay. So now this is not a container. This is not a virtual machine. This is an actual Ubuntu server running in the far left slot over here on my rack. And I just connected to it by using SSH with passwords, passwordless login, which is an SSH topic that we touched on earlier, but we'll touch on it again. And basically, I'm doing the same thing that we set up when we set up the VM. Remember on Windows, we set up git bash, and then we added SSH so we get SSH into our virtual machine that's running kind of inside of our laptop or our desktop, right? And that's nice. It's kind of like a miniature cloud that's running inside of your machine, and that's what Anton is, right? So let me just remind you. So here, let's go back here. Let me do F11 here. Let me just show you how I'm working. So just as a recap, I'm running on Windows, right? So I'm running on Windows for reasons I don't want to get into right now. Ultimately, so I can game and stream and do things to practice for work, because work requires Windows or Mac. That's the reason. I have nothing against desktop Linux, other than that it sucks, actually, for most things that you would want a desktop environment for, but that's another question. So anyway, we're going to open up a new thing. So now I'm running git bash. So this is Windows Terminal Preview, which is faster than the other one. The preview fixes a bug. And I am now logged into, I've got my colors set up. I did that in another boost earlier. And I've got git bash running. So this means, I've got all the commands here. I've got dir, I've got ls. This is legitimately, in every way, this is Windows. It just happens to be a bash shell running on Windows. I promise I'm going to get to the screen thing, but I want to kind of recap stuff for people so they know what's going on, right? So this is my full screen, logged into Robot TV. It's using my bash RC. We went through that 2 weeks ago. That's been installed on Windows. I'm going to say it again. This is not running Linux. What you are looking at right now is Windows. It's Windows. It's called git bash. It's not WSL2, which is trash. You should avoid it like the plague. It's git bash, which doesn't mess your permissions up and lots of other reasons. Okay. Now, SSH is on here, which had to be installed on Windows, right? And so then I SSH. Actually, git bash comes with it, so you don't need to install that, thank God. So, and then I SSH this. I know it doesn't look like it, but I'm going to say it again. This is a Windows terminal right now. It just happens to be running the bash shell. Okay? If I wanted to run PowerShell or anything else, I could do the same thing. In fact, some commands won't work over here because it's using git-bash, which is still the best way, in my opinion, to do stuff. You can do it from VS Code. You can do it directly, whatever. I'm using it from Windows Terminal Preview. So done with that. All right, so now let's connect to Anton. Now, Anton, up to yesterday, that's now Anton over there. If it doesn't fit your case, WSL2 is trash. It is absolute trash for lots of reasons that I can directly. There is no use case where WSL2 is a good choice. Absolutely. And I have objective proof of that. And if you want to take me up on that, come to questions and answers on daily 6:30 to 7:30, and I'll answer that for you if you want. But WSL2 is trash, and I was a big fan of it, and it is absolute trash for very objective reasons, and I will talk to you about them for every use case. I don't say that about things unless it applies to every use case. Proxmox, for example, I'm not saying it's trash. I'm saying it's bad for my use case, which I can't believe anybody ever wanting to use it, but that's a different question. I mean, if you only have 2 servers, who's that? Anyway, okay, so here we go. There is for me. I've been using it since it was released after WSL2, which is indeed worse. Yeah. No. You see, you're just making sweeping generalizations just like me. So, see, I need to hear why you say that. Yeah. Have you ever had to deal with a permissions problem? No. Okay. Well, I know that there are a lot of other people who agree with me on the WSL2 thing, so I don't want to go down that path because they took bets about how long it would last before I got off WSL2, and they were right. So, and frankly, I like their opinions much more, not because they agree with me, but because they had similar experiences, because they actually pushed WSL2 to do things that it promises to do and fails to do. Get bash daily at work. Awesome. Okay, so here we go. WSL permissions are insanely bad. Not to mention it corrupts your file system. Do I need to go on? Let's not make it about that. Okay, let's keep moving. All right. So Git bash is stable, reliable. It works. It's slower. It doesn't mess with your permissions. It's just installed. But we're trying to get to screen. I promise. So we're gonna SSH into a virtual machine that's been started up. I have to recap this for everybody because they're gonna like get really lost. All right. So I actually have a virtual machine running. So we install VMware Player. I have Workstation. Player doesn't matter, whatever one. And I can click on VMware, and you can see that I am running. So this is a different endpoint. Why is that even on? I don't think that one should be on right now. Anyway, so here's. Wait, where's Anton? Oh, Anton's running in the background. So I have a server that's running like this in the background. And I didn't really run that one. So let's do that. So SSH Anton, and this logs me into Anton, and as you can see, it's Ubuntu server. So it looks like I logged into a different computer. I didn't, right? I just logged into the virtual machine running in VMware Player on my Windows machine. All right. Now here's where it gets interesting. So, and I mean, that catches you up here, so we can go ahead and exit this one now. So, so here we go. So now we do, so from Anton, now I'm going to SSH into over there, that server over there. So I'm going to SSH. Now I've added a .ssh config. Whoops, that's in my home directory. Yeah. All right. So I actually have another Anton coming. So Rocky can go away. That's dead now. So I have this mini one, right? So this is my local internet. I kept it on the nice and easy 192 network, even though that doesn't have that many. It only has like 200 or so, 250 possible machines, but I don't have more than that planned, so I'm totally fine with that. And then I can just SSH into that machine, mini one, and it will connect. And so now I'm connected to that Mac mini over there in the corner. VMs and workstation. I'll need to try that. Thank you. So now we've got, this is, definitely server without any configuration. Remember all that stuff I was telling you about copying over configurations? Yeah, let's try it. Watch this. scp.bash. This is bash rc, right? And I want to copy it to mini one, colon, and that's going to put my now when I do SSH to mini one, I get the same exact terminal prompt that I had before. Every time I've ever complained about all the complexities of getting everything the same over on a remote system because it's too hard to synchronize them, that is an illustration of that. That's why it's easy. I've got 20 machines that I want to, have synchronized with my same profile and stuff. So having that is a priority for me. Anyway, so this is where on mini one now. It's kind of hard to tell. If you don't look at the prompt, you'll forget. Don't be me. I told the story about taking the corporate mail server down because I forgot I was not on my laptop anymore. Now what, right? Well, let's say I want to do anything that has to keep running. I want to run a backup. And actually, let's do something. I have to make a new window because I've got a Tmux window already. So let's do this again. All right. So one more time. So I'm on Windows. This is Windows. Wget bash. I'm going to SSH into Anton. I could SSH directly into Mini1 if I wanted to from there. But I'm going to go onto Anton because that's kind of my jump host running in a virtual machine. And then I'm going to SSH into Mini1. And now I'm on Mini1, right? And if this bouncing around is one of the things that people do, right? To get to multiple servers. Every time I type anything, it's going through every one of those servers when we type it. And yes, it can get slow depending on how many there are and what the latency is. These are all on the same network. So here I am. Now, how do I keep it looking consistent? I use the colors in my terminal, and I put all. Oh, that was very great. Thank you, Shelby. And then that was very nice. Thank you. I like your simple bash profile. Well, we talked about 2 days ago. We covered the bash stuff quite extensively. So if you want to look at that, and that has colors in it too. But the terminal colors are a thing. Those are all things that are covered by the boost. Okay. So now I'm on Mini1. Now pretend like we don't know about Tmux. I've been using it all boosts, but pretend like you don't know anything about this. Right? It's 1995 or 80 or something. 89, I think, when Unix came out. And let's pretend that all we have is a terminal. There's no way to cut and paste. The mouse has not really even been invented yet. I mean, it has, but Engelbart invented it years before that, but it hadn't really taken prevalence yet. So what do? All I have is a terminal. What do I do with that? And yes. Each one has its own stuff. So here I am on Mini1, that little, running Ubuntu server, and I want to do more than one thing, right? Let's say I don't know. I mean, most of the time, with the kids, I used to do Minecraft. We would start up a Minecraft server, right? So let's do this. Let's say, let's install CMatrix for fun, right? So sudo apt install. Remember this is way back. This is a review way back when, right? So CMatrix is something that people know, right? I don't remember my password. I remember. I don't remember it. Okay, there we go. So there we go. We got it in there. And yeah. CMatrix is not there. Oh no. Which one did it want to do? I think I have to do sudo apt update, right? Yeah, we have to update. You guys remember this, right? This is going back to one of the first weeks of the boost, so it's a good review to go through this stuff again. That's why I knew it was going to take a long time. Does this not have... Oh, damn. I don't have DNS set up over here, right? We could do it. We could do it with a container as well. Should we do it with a container since you don't want to watch me set up DNS right now? It's not that hard. Should we just do it? Should we do it? Should we do DNS? I know you're going to get bored. You're not going to want to see. Yeah. Routes. 19. This is so cool. NetPlan is so cool. Okay. NetPlan. Oops. Sudo NetPlan. Apply. Ping. Now we can see Google. Yay. All right, let's try again. Apt update. There we go. Much better. So we had to set up DNS. We haven't talked about networking at all. We did a little, but not anything significant. So let's go ahead and install CMatrix. We want just something silly to run over here while we're, doing our thing. A deliberate over it. I know. Yeah. Try that, by the way, on Red Hat. No, it's like way harder. You have to use Net Manager as that NMCLI and everything. You have to. You don't get the option to just use Netplay. So C matrix. All right. I'll say so. We're running C matrix, which is kind of fun. It's an ancient thing, right? There's different versions of it. There's T matrix and Neo and better versions, but it's just fun. And it's just to show that something's actually running that we know is running, right? Well, how do I do anything else, my friends? I'm stuck. What if I wanted to go in another window and do something else? So imagine the C matrix is actually like running a Minecraft server or doing a backup, a long-winded backup, right? Not to mention the fact, what happens if I lose a connection? If I control D, what happens? I mean, I could background it. You guys know how to command. You guys know how to background? You remember that? Do you remember how to background? We talked about it very briefly. Who remembers? Does anybody remember? I'm going to give you a little time. How do you background a process? Yeah, but that only happens after you run it. Okay, so what if I run it and I'm like, oh crap, I need to get back to my terminal. Okay, Control Z, good job. So Control Z suspends the process and puts it in the background. So now I can run jobs. Thank you for the follow. Wait, why didn't it do my jobs? Did I do it wrong? To read C matrix. Yeah, I'm shocked a little bit that it's not showing up on my jobs list. I thought it would. So it is running, and it's in the background. I mean, it's not running. It got paused, right? So I can do something else, but it stopped my other process. Now, if I wanted to start it, I'd have to do like a resume on that thing, and it's a pain in the butt. I mean, you can do it. You should probably learn it. You should learn all those things. But if I just do FG, there's nothing bad. It's not there. Wait, what did I do? Did I do suspend or stop? I think I did stop. I did the wrong thing. Yeah, I think Z is a stop, right? I think Control Z is supposed to be. Did I get that right? I thought Z was supposed to be suspend. No, it stops it. Yeah, that's interesting. So C matrix must be taking. It looks like C matrix is taking an interrupts of some kind. All right. I mean, I don't know why you would put this in the background, but I'm just trying to illustrate a point, right? So if you run it with an ampersand after it, then yeah, it's running, but what's the point, right? Control being Tmux. Yeah, we're not doing Tmux. We're not doing Tmux yet. we're gonna get there. So it was in the background, but it was running, and we saw it now. So how do I get it? I think you can do a suspend. No, it has to be Control Z. Anyway, so this is part of the problem, and you can definitely play around with jobs. I mean, let's do something. Let's like watch. Let's do watch date. All right. So this is a process that's just running, just to show you that it's running, right? And let's do Control Z to suspend this. Okay, so jobs. Now that is what we expected to see, right? Now you can start it up again, right, in the background, and you can deal with all of that. But to tell you the truth, most people these days, and knowing how to do this is important, it says it stopped because we stopped it. What it did is it stopped it and put it in the background. If we wanted to restart it in the background, there's a command to do that. I think it's BG. You can tell a job that you want it to run in the background, okay? And you want that job to run in the background and restart it. But when you just do Control Z, it suspends it and sticks it in the background, right? And then, yeah, you can do at now. I mean, there's a ton of things you can do. We are not going to cover any of that in the boost because most people don't use it. I mean, it's important that you understand it eventually, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing to learn is how to do screen management, because we still have problems here. How do I cut and paste text from my terminal without using a mouse? Now, these days, that's not a big deal. You just take your mouse and you copy and you paste and you're fine, right? These days, that's fine. No one's going to look down on you. But sometimes it's important that you know how to copy and paste from a terminal, particularly if you don't have a mouse. Like, oh, I don't know, when you're setting up a bunch of stuff over here and you don't want to plug in a mouse every time you switch machines, right? So you want to be able to go select from the screen using screen. And that's what screen was invented for. Screen was invented so that you had this like multiple, ways of doing work and multiple screen sessions and stuff like that. Back in the day before there was a mouse, and you're like, well, why do I care today? Well, the first reason you care is because Screen makes all of this management of jobs and stuff much, much easier. Okay, so using Screen, and I'm going to use actual Screen, assuming it's on here. Sudo app install Screen. Another thing about Screen is on most Unixes, it's actually installed by default. These days it's not on Linux, and of course containers don't install anything extra. So if you don't have it, that's fine. You're asking Mr. Rob, well, should I use Screen or Tmux? I mean, that's one. So let's do this. Let's say Screen. So we run Screen just like this by itself. I love this because this is actually the same Screen that's been around forever. They have finally, by the way, fixed problems from Screen. You can get t-shirts. You can get a Screen t-shirt. Hell yeah. I want a Screen t-shirt. Talk about retro. Where do I send my money? I totally want one. I don't want a GNU t-shirt. I want a Screen t-shirt. Okay. So anyway, by the way, this t-shirt is the Goodyear Gallery. This is the art show that my wife was just in on Friday. If you want to watch the IRL stream, I did some IRL streaming and drank free beer and showed art, listened to music, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, to push space, it clears the screen. Capabilities, this is like telling you a bunch of stuff. All right, and you're like, oh my gosh. Okay, so the first thing that's scary about Screen, I didn't know they had a logo. I know. That's what I want to know. The first thing about Screen is it doesn't look like anything's different. All right? And this is kind of freaky. All right? It's awesome, but it's also kind of freaky. If you want to see anything in Screen, it's Control A, and I want to say W. Yeah. And by the way, these things work for Tmux too. We're going to get there. Please don't jump in with the Tmux stuff because we have a lot to talk about Tmux being different than Screen before we do that. So when we do the W, there's got one, right? If I want to make a new one, okay, so in order to do Screen, and this is going to be a whirlwind tour, we're not going to do everything. You have to use a leader key combo. And the leader key combo, by default, on all Screen applications installed on billions of computers since 1980 something, is Control A. Right? And then you have to have something else. And it waits around for the something else. Well, W is the command that gives you this. Right? Now, there are a number of things, a double shirt for attending film festivals, exactly. So you see here that there's just, it says Screen 0 and bash, right? Well, let's add a new one. So let's start our C matrix. All right, so now we have our C matrix running, right? Like, damn, I need another screen. So Control A C to create a new screen. Like, where did my thing go? It's still there, I promise. By the way, what did I just do? That is, I double tapped the leader key, A. So bam, 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 AA, Control AA, Control AA, Control AA, Control AA, right? And that going back and forth is a very, very common thing. You're going to do a lot. All right, but if I lost track of it, I can always go to W and I see they're all down there, right? And I know you're already thinking, wouldn't it be great if it just showed all of this stuff on the screen all the time so I know what window to go to? And that's one of many things that Tmux fixes. You can't do it with Screen, but that's more of a Tmux thing, and we'll get there. All right, so let's go back and forth, right? Okie dokie. And you can see, I mean, you can have an infinite number of them if you want. Watch date. And now we have these two. And now you can do another one. Control A C to create another one. And now you see I have 3 of them. By the way, I can do Control A 2 to go to 2, Control A 1 to go to 1, and Control A 0 to go to 0. And you can just go back and forth them. And the thing that's really great is, I don't know if you noticed, but my muscle memory for Screen works. Even though I use Tmux every day, my muscle menu for Screen works. And we're going to get back to that in a second as to why Tmux is configured the way it is. I get crap about this all the time, so I don't want to jump into it but you have to understand the premise of Screen before you understand my advice when it comes to Tmux. Because it's non-standard, and I get crap about this all the time. So anyway, that is it. Okay, but here's the really cool thing. All right. So let's say an earthquake happens. Let's say a gardener cuts the phone line or the cable line or something, or any number of possible problems. Right. So this, God, we do not want our C matrix to stop happening. Oh my God, the matrix would end. Right. We want that to run at all costs on my remote server over there. But what happens if I turn the power off on this computer? Does it still run? Answer, yes, it does. So let's simulate that, right? The way we can simulate that is by going to, there's a couple ways of simulating it. But one of the ways is to take, remember that I told you all about how we came from Git Bash all the way up into Mini1, yeah? Well, let's pretend that all of that just gets cut off. We're going to close the terminal very rudely and impolitely and suddenly. Boom. No terminal. Now this is, don't worry, that's another thing. So we're going to open a new terminal. Okay. Oh no, I lost my connection. Oh no, my C matrix is going to die. My backup process is going to die. I'm going to lose my job. Well, thank God for Screen, because now we can go SSH back into Anton. Anton, we're pretending like it's, kind of a thing. SSH into Mini1. And like, but I don't see my stuff here. I mean, I run jobs. There's no jobs. Mr. Rob, what? Mr. Rob, what's up? Now you can do ps -ef grep screen, and you can see. That's because of my stupid grep thing. And you can see that there is no screen session running. Oh my heck! I hope that it still works. I might actually have a problem. Screen. Then what? We're just gonna run screen. Well, it made a new screen, but that's not what I wanted. All right. So if you do man screen, you can see about the different things. And so the one that we want is -R, I believe. This is actually where it does divert from Tmux, so I have to look it up. I think it's capital R if you really want it. So include all the capabilities, adapt, file, detach a session. We want to attach. I'm pretty sure it's R. It could be X though. Screen-R for restore. Is it restore? Yeah. Okay. So screen-ls shows you them all. So yay, we have a screen. Okay. And look at that. It's detached. All right. It's detached. Now, this is the part where I wish I had a cloud server set up right now, because I want to show you something else that's cool. But I can do this. So I can go to screen, I can do -R, and it will automatically reattach to the last one. Or I can actually give it the ID if I want to, right? And so it reconnects, and let's see. Oh, it's still there. But is my C matrix still running? Yes, there it is. And look, my date process is still running as well. I didn't lose anything. It's all running. It was all running, and then it could have multiple different processes running in different ways. One of them could be a Minecraft server. One of them could be, in fact, this is the standard way to run Minecraft, because Minecraft has no way to run its own thing in the background. This is the only way. So we have our issue. Now, this is the part where I get to tell you about something really cool that I have to simulate. To the last thing you had attached, is it x-x dot? Yeah. I mean, there's a number of different things. You can go through and read all the screen stuff, but I just wanted to show you the base functionality. So a couple things here. Temp foo. If we wanted to say, hey, here's my other thing here. I have my network config that was in here. Yeah. And let's say I'm working on this, and I have another one that got a lot of screens open. But now let's say, by the way, you can rename it too. You can say, oopsie, that's not what I wanted. Oh, they changed it. No, they changed it. The commands are different anyway. Too lazy to move to Tmux. A lot of people are too lazy to move to Tmux. I was one of those people. Because it's on everything, right? It's on everything. So I don't, think that's bad at all. But we got this thing here, right? In fact, Screen added split panes recently, and everybody's like, it's got panes now too. And I'm like, Now there's a number of reasons to use Tmux, and we'll get into it. But a process when a terminal shuts down in regard to the hub signal. Yeah. It doesn't send a hub with terminal. it doesn't. I don't think it does. I think it sends it to the screen process. The screen just ignores the hub. Yeah, we need to talk about signaling at some point, and I don't know when the best time to do that is. I don't even know if it's a boost topic. In case you're wondering, anytime you do any of these keystrokes, the Linux kernel, Unix kernel, communicates with the processes by sending them signals. And you can, that's if you want to kill that shell, you can see all the signals. Here's all the signals. So this is one of the most rudimentary and important forms of inter-process communications. There's lots of ways, shared memory and thing, and even, localized pipes and, telnet, TCP stuff. So inter-process communication is just how things communicate. And the kernel, applications can send each other basic signal information, and they can deal with it like in a it's an event just happened, right? So the thing that Tony Fa is referring to is the sig hup that you can actually use to, it means hang up. It's not quite a terminal. It can be interpreted differently by applications. Some turn off, some like trap it and go, oh, you want me to relook up my configuration? Cool, I'll do that. That used to be a really popular thing in the 90s. Nobody does that anymore. Normal process is not under screen. Oh, right. Oh, you want to show that? All right. I mean, that's just, you would just, I don't know if we have to actually demonstrate that, but so pretend like we did all that stuff without screen and we shut the terminal off. What would happen? Right? Our process doesn't get backgrounded automatically. It gets shut down. And I think that's kind of intuitive. So if you kill the terminal like we did, and there's no screen, every single session that you did, every connection that you did to anything, unless you explicitly backgrounded it with the amp sign and suspend all those things that we talked about, or screen, will die. It will die. You can also run it with no hup. And no hup is a thing that people used to do who don't have screen. Do we really want to get into no hup right now? I really don't want to talk about it because it's such a pain in the butt. You use it, you put it in the background, it creates a hup log, it does that whole thing, and then you still have to foreground. It's not really truly backgrounded. It's all it does is really keep it from hanging up. Yeah. And reparent it to net, you reattach. I know, it's just such a pain. I know. Oh God, probably in 99, I really gave no hup if you're going to start a server, you need to do this and this and this and this, right? The only time you really need that is if you are going to start a server in Bash or something, which is very unusual. But you can do that, right? And all of this stuff, by the way, I know I'm if you really want to go deep on this, let me just at least tell you where to go deep on this. There's no PS3 over here. Oh, there is. Hell, I did not install that. I'm very happy to find that. Man, look at how simple the PS3 is on this machine. There's nothing running over here. All right, so good old systemd. As you know, processes have a hierarchical nature. So systemd is the thing that is systemd process one. Is it one or is it a init? Did it take over a init? Nope, init's still there, thank God. All right, so init, let's just go over processes. This is a whirlwind tour of processes, right? We've done it before, so they all get PIDs, right? So when your computer starts, the first thing the bootloader does, grub usually, is starts one program. It starts a program called init. And then init starts up, stuff. And if you're on BSD, it starts it in a different way than Ubuntu or Red Hat these days, and that's where systemd comes in. Systemd is this big monolithic thing that runs. In fact, I'm not even sure. And it says, I thought I was just going to say, I was literally going to say, it's probably just a symlink. I think systemd has taken over for it. Yep, there it is. All right, so that explains it. So Espen init has been around since the dawn of Unix. Culturally, it's important that you understand the angst between the pro init people and the pro systemd people. Systemd was invented by a guy at Red Hat. I forget his name right now. I just recently Zelcasted about him, who has since moved to Microsoft. He works at Microsoft now. And what systemd is this like one program to rule them all. So it runs and it takes care of all these other things, right? And it's very not Unixy in that sense. And it used to be, it was one program, and that program would start off a bunch of other little programs, and each program was independent of the others. And it was, it was kind of flat, but it had a number of problems because you couldn't do things by having the same program running everything. And so they ultimately, systemd won for Ubuntu, Debian, and for Red Hat, and SUSE as well. But you still, if you're using BSD Linux, or if you're using a Mac, or if you're using AIX or Solaris or any number of Unix systems, you're still going to deal with init. And init used to be a program that you could do init1, and then we could talk about run states. You have networking, you don't, and all that. Those are all jokes in Mr. Robot, by the way. There's references to that. Systemd is totally against Unix philosophy. It, however, was adopted for reasons that are more practical than people wanted. And there's still a lot of hate out there for systemd. The guy that did systemd has had legitimate death threats. I don't think that's called for, but it's just so ironic that he's working for Microsoft now. And it's now stuck on everything. Everybody has to use it. I mean, to get rid of it, you have to like rip it out. And it has made services and everything a lot more. This management of Unix and the kernel and all that stuff is not a part of the boost. Okay. It is very much a part of what comes after the boost, like understanding Linux architecture and managing it and being a system administrator and SRE. And sysadmins manage lots of systems, tend to like systemd. Yes, and systemd is very controlling. It has a monolithic kind of approach, and people want that. So wherever you land, I mean, I know why it exists, and I'm not particularly against it. I just telling you culturally, if you want to walk into a buzzsaw, go into like a BSD Unix meetup and say systemd is awesome. If you want to pick a fight, I think most of the OSs will be some form of Unix, yeah, eventually. And Mac already is. Windows is trying really hard. Move to Debian Linux, yes. Dual technical consistency on BSD. There's actually some really good YouTube videos about it that are very neutral, and they talk about it. So if you want to get into that. But why do we care? So the reason I was telling you this is because I wanted to show you the things that we're running. There's a program called PS3, which is, so this is systemd, which is otherwise known as init, right? That's init1. That's process 1. And it starts up all these other things. And then these things start up things. Well, look at this. Look at this here, my friends. Here we have screen, right? Here we have screen running, and it's running bash. And yeah, BSD people are crazy awesome. And I'm not anti-BSD at all. In fact, one of the things with the VM I want to do is put BSD on there, bfsense or something. So screen bash cmatrix, right? Screen bash watch, screen bash vi, screen bash PS3. So this little breakdown is what I wanted to show you. So when you come back to the system, when you reconnect to screen, you get all of the children that went with it. All right. And that's what's up. That's what's going on. And by the way, this is how we got in here, right? So a secure shell daemon started up a bash, and then from bash, I ran the screen, and then we get all that. All right. So you can actually, this whole no-hup thing people were talking about, you can run a process like watch or something and send it no-hup, and it will be taken over by systemd as the parent. So then it would show up over here. It would be a child of systemd. And then if this process dies, it doesn't care because it's being run by the master parent. Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. So then we go through, did you Windows for NT for Linux kernel? Yes, this is true. So anyway, we've got a lot of good stuff here. Then yeah, if systemd dies, yes, there's problems. So systemd is the the main thing. This is where we get into some problems, right? Because there's system running the journal, login, log, and the networking, resolve. This is DNS. It's like it's become kind of like all things to all people, which rubs people the wrong way. But now you understand what Screen's about, right? People use Windows for gaming, yes. So here we go. We got the network config in one window. Okay, so let's say I want to edit another file. So temp bar. It's a good thing I know VI, right? Because guess what? It was on there already. Guess what wasn't on there already? Emacs, NeoVim, Nano. Oh, Nano's there. Ugh. All right. So anyway, Mr. Elliott uses Nano, by the way, in 3 different occasions. I'm just like laughing so hard. He also has like 2 words per minute typing Python too. Like, no, not a hacker. You can disable if you want. Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. Anyway, so let's say I want to put everything in here from that other file, right? Well, we already know how to do that. We can just do :r temp food to get it in there, right? But let's say we wanted to cut and paste for some dumb reason. Or maybe we're like opening up command line searching and we want to copy and paste between 2 different screen terminals, right? Which is a thing that people do. So you can go up in here, and now because of Screen, I can do Control-A left bracket. And that sends me into copy mode. And I can mark the first mark by putting space. I can go like this, and you can actually use VI navigation, by the way. VI navigation is built into Screen, by the way, not Emacs navigation. So another reason to use VI. So I do $sign goes to the end of the line, right? I'm going to go down. I don't need visual mode. I use Tmux. I mean Screen. And all right, so then we hit enter. Right? It says copy those characters into the buffer. I wish Tmux still did that. And we go back to this other window, and I insert, and insert, and then I do Control-A and then right bracket. And I get that stuff, right? Now, if it doesn't look right, sometimes you might need to do set paste. Not always, but sometimes you do, right? It might do weird things. If it does that, just do set paste, and then you do Control right bracket. You can do it again, and you can cut and paste between things, right? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are. You can do it from the command line. You can do it from CMatrix. If I wanted to put CMatrix stuff in, I could do it. Let's try it. Oh wow, this is kind of fun. Look, I can like copy out a line of CMatrix. Should we do that? Ooh, let's take some CMatrix. We're gonna put a little bit of CMatrix in my file. All right, so I'm going to go back to 3, which, nope, there's no 3. How about 4? Is it 4? Damn, which one is it? Oh, that was the other one. Is this one? All right, so let's put some CMatrix in here. Insert, and then right square back C. There's a CMatrix, right? So there we go. We got this random file that's got stuff that we use to copy and paste between. Now, I could be logged into a completely different system from one of those windows, they call them screens, or I could be, it doesn't matter, and I don't have to have VI running. In case you're wondering, this is why I do not use VI panes, because VI panes only work for things that are open in VI. People do this all the time. Why aren't you using splitting the screen with VI? I say because I can split the screen with Screen and or Tmux. Now, I don't remember how to split the screen into panes using Screen. It can be done. I just don't know how. And frankly, I don't care to know how, because Tmux allows you to do that. And frankly, I don't use panes too awfully, because panes are kind of a pain. Because I'm more about like being all about, in a modal window. There are very few things that the Primagian and I agree on, and that is one of them. I think it's more important for you to switch windows. Occasionally, it's nice to have both things on the screen at the same time, particularly if you've got a lot of screen real estate, which I don't since I've started streaming and stuff. So I think I like having the windows. Plus, the windows allow you to give a little title to each thing that you're doing. We don't have that set right now, but that is it S to split? S, is it capital S? Oh, look at that. Never done that before. Yeah, but see, I would have to know how to go up and down, and I have no idea how to do that. I have mine set to Windows keys. So, is it tab? Okay. All right. I learned something today. How do I stop it? How do I Q? How do I get rid of it? X? Nope. Oh, damn it. I forgot about this. You can lock your screen in Screen. I do this all the time. I do this all the time because I made the X reset. Is it Q? All right. Damn it. All right. So yeah, let me try that. I mean, I don't know how to do this, so I might as well learn. Pane is capital S. This is not something that you'll find on old Screen, by the way. It's just not. And tab goes back, and then, I mean, there's nothing here, so, I mean, what the hell? Close all. Yeah. Capital Q? Holy cow. That looks a little scary to me. Oh, that's all. That's new. That's also new. Did not know about that one. So that's okay. Double quotes to open it. Okay. I hope you're playing around with this like me. You should be. Yeah, I don't do that stuff. I just go to the numbers and then. Yeah, I'm a very simple person when it comes to this stuff. Is it A to rename? Oh, that's what I was looking for. Capital A. All right, let's change, because that I have that mapped to dot and to comma in my Tmux. So we'll say matrix. Enter the matrix. Enter the matrix. Turn me out. No, this is. Are you saying Tmux is A also by default? Because I have mine mapped to screen settings. I'm gonna have to change mine. I use comma because it's just so much faster. Now we're gonna. Okay, so it's probably time to move to Tmux now. Okay, so y'all been wondering what's up with Tmux and Screen. Why are they the same or are they not? So let's do this. Let's do this. I'm gonna go out of here. Again, it'll still run unless I cancel everything, right? So my common way of doing this is to get rid of all my stuff until it says Screen is terminating. And that tells you, okay, my screen session is done. If you want to make sure you're not leaving them around, and believe me, this is the number one problem with this when teaching beginners. Beginners do this constantly. They will go start doing development, or they'll change a Minecraft server or something like that, and they'll forget they have a session. And then they'll go home and they'll log in and they'll start a new one. And a new one. And a new one. I think the record is like 15 or so. And I'm like, you realize you've got 15 Screen or Tmux sessions running. She's like, oh, that's right. So if you're a beginner, just take a note of caution here. If you're a beginner and you're getting into this multiplexing things, plex means screen and multi means many. So multiplex, right? iTerm integration is motivating me to try it out. No, hell no. Oh, you're talking about it's integrated with iTerm? Maybe, yeah. So let's actually take a moment to talk about that. And for this, I'm going to take a nice drink and I'm going to make a close-up. Okay? And I'm going to put this in my little notes here. So the question comes up all the time. Why not just use multiple terminals? Right? Why not use iTerms 2's really fancy multiple terminals? Why not have, i3 window manager so you can just, pop up another full-blown, like editor session? Why not have, VS Code different editor terminals and stuff. And those are all good things for different applications. But you'll see the name when doing LSCS. They're not the same. Yeah. So, but the reason I'm zooming in here because I want you to know that, I get all the time, what window manager do you use? Okay. So seriously, when I answer, I think you understand the answer now, right? When I say that my window manager is Tmux or Screen, I mean it because it really is. I only need one terminal, period. One terminal. I have one terminal, and from that terminal, I launch Screen or Tmux, and then I do all of my work from that. Okay. Now, we haven't talked about some of the more complicated problems with like using Screen on a remote system and then also using Screen locally. How do I make sure my leader command gets to that one over there? And the answer is leader, and you'll see how to do that. Everybody's got a different way of doing that. But that's one of the only, I mention it because that's one of the few times where starting up another terminal is actually easier most of the time, right? So if you know that you already have, a multiplexer running on a target, yeah, you can do it. You can definitely do it. Dr. Worm's reminding us that you can definitely send the command through if you have multiple of them. You can definitely do it. But since we're talking about whether to use a different terminal tab, one of the very few times that you'll see me do it, just for the sake of simplicity, is I'll start up a new one, and then I'll connect over to the system, and then I'll connect to Screen over there, and so I'll have a separate terminal that's running a remote Screen session, and then one that's perhaps running a local Screen or Tmux session. One terminal to rule them all. So it really is. That's kind of how I feel about it. So when people ask, I'm not trying to be, curt with them. When people ask me, what's your window manager? My answer is literally Tmux. And we're going to talk about how Tmux is the same as Screen now. Okay. So how much time we got? You got time? Yeah, we got some time. So I don't even remember when it was. So what is Tmux? So let me just recap before we move into to the Tmux thing. Let's recap what it was about what I don't even remember which one it is. I'm trying to oh god. I'm trying to switch my terminal in Windows. I don't remember. This is another reason I can never remember what terminal to go back and forth, All right, so anyway, let's recap. Right? So let's just say covered. So let's say use so what is a multiplexer? A multiplexer, did I spell that right? Allows multiple screens to be used from one. Multiplexer keeps running even if disconnected. And those are the two main reasons to do a multiplexer. As a control tab, thank you. And so those are the two main reasons, right? And a multiplexer provides mouse-less cut and paste. And you might not think that that's a thing, but I promise you there'll be a time when you'll want it. Right. And that was the last thing. A multiplexer allows atomic sharing, allows multi-user sharing, multiple concurrent users. So we haven't seen this yet. Tmux is a fantastic reason for that. There's things to do that too, by the way, that make it easier, but they're not particularly safe because they use different servers. Let's demonstrate that one really quick. That's a really good one to go look at before we move on. So let's say I'm going to get back on Mini. Okay, so I'm going to start my screen, let's make a new user, shall we? I mean, this is a little bit more complicated. I don't know how much of this we want to go into. I usually just have people get root into it, because usually you're sharing a screen with another admin, right? So it's not that big a deal. So let me give you an example of that such a scenario, okay? If you're doing it with students, you might want to set it up so everybody has the same permission to the screen socket and all that thing. And I don't want to get into that, but it's just easier to set root and then do it as root, because root doesn't care. It'll share anything because of the TTY. So here's what I'm saying. So let's say that I am a user here and I'm doing watch date, right? And let's say that I'm a teacher and I want to help this person use this command or configure their whatever, you know. Actually, let's do that. Let's do that configuration example. Watch logs and figure out what's wrong. Oh, yeah. So you could do this. You could say, let's say they're VIing their temp foo file. Oh, there's another one already there. That's fine. Okay, so they're writing this configuration file. They're like, teacher, I need help, right? So let's pretend. Do we run screen? No screen. All right, so let's run screen. So screen. All right, so it's hard to know you're running it. Okay, here we go. Temp foo. Okay, so there's a swap file. I'm not going to talk about that right now. So here I'm in the middle of editing and I don't know what to do and I need help, and I Discord my friend. And you can, of course, you can Discord screen share, but you can't share typing in that case, right? I mean, you can, but you know, there's just lots of ways to do sharing, but this is the OG way to do it. So you have somebody connect from another system. All right. You have somebody connect from another system. Actually, this is another screen. So, okay, so let's pretend like another system. So here we go. So yet another one, right? So SSH to Anton, and then SSH. Let's do SSH to meaning one. But let's pretend like I'm root, because I'm a teacher or something. Oh, God. I don't think that's the one. It's just a simple password. It's nothing to be scared of, but still. I mean, you know what? I'm going to try another one here. Give me a second here. All right, so here we go. All right, so Zoom is better than Teams. Here we go. So I'm root, right? I can see other people on the system. So W is a command that we just learned, right? So let's actually add that one. Add W is a command. We did it before, but you can see that, hey, there's my friend, you know, who is also me, like editing tempfoo, right? And there's a screen process running. Let me see what's on here. Screen-ls. I don't have any screen processes. I think you can do -L. Nope, that started one. So what do? Right? So now we need to add ourselves to their, it's the Mac Mini, yeah, it's right over here. So in order to join that screen session, there's a couple of things I could do. I could become that person, which is probably what I would do if I was helping a young person or whoever. I would become them, right? And that's SU dash, and now I am them in every way, and I can do screen dash ls. Damn it. Is it -ls? There we go. Okay, so you can see that there is a session over here, right? And I can attach to the session right now. What I want to show you, though, is that you can actually attach to the number, if you have the number, whether or not you're that user. So you could do screen dash R and then paste. Oops, that's not it. That was not it. I know I'm using my mouse, and there's no screen resumed matching. Oh, it's X. right? God, it's been so long since I used Screen. I use Tmux now all the time. It's also been a long time since I've attached to somebody else's terminal. I always have to look this up. Dang it. What am I doing wrong? I am doing something wrong. I don't remember. Because usually I would just go over to their user account. There is a way to do this, though. I think you actually have to... Is it capital R? No, that's not it. That's not it. Man, Screen. I did -X, but I'm doing it as root. Screen-R PID. So it looks like the TTY is required, but the rest is not. Oh, you need session owner / Oh, I haven't. Okay. Yeah, well. Serves me right. I haven't done it in a long time, so this is good practice. So that would be RWX Rob / right? Damn it. Is it X? I want to say it's X. I am missing out. I am totally failing today. I want to say it was capital R, though. There is a screen on envelope private. Can't create sessions of other users. Oh, it's attached to it then. I think it's -X. I really do. There's no screen to be attached matching blah, blah, blah. How about we do this? Is it -X? I know it's there. I just can't remember it. It's been so long since I've done it. Yeah, well. I mean, it doesn't even see that as a process. I mean, I wonder if it's because I didn't put the user. You can make the session enabled for multi-users, but you can do it without that. You can. I just can't remember how to do it. So we'll have to talk about that. If somebody figures it out, let me know. The easy way to do this is, of course, just to become the user and then screen -X, and that will attach. All right. So now we have two things typing at the same time. This is more fun when you have two people doing it. But if I move down, this is, I mean, as you can see, you know, it's the same both places. Both of them get the change. Okay. And it's really fun to do this because you can see literally every keystroke. You can use this as a cheap way to chat instead of NTalk or whatever. And you can like control the keyboard for the other user. And it's really fun. So if you don't get a chance to do that, try it. Control A, multi-user on. It's not Control A. Is it really? What are you talking about? Control A, colon. Multi-user on. Add CCL root. Boy, I would not have known how to do that. I've never done that before. Do you really have to do that? And they love it? Yeah, it's really great. First time somebody sees it, they get kind of like, you know, really enthralled with it. It's really fun because, and the thing that's really crazy is it's been around forever. Add a ACL root. I mean, as SU is just gonna be easier if you're a teacher or whatever. But this way probably is okay as well. Oh boy, I exited the wrong one. I think I did. Screen is terminating. Wait. Nope, no screens found. I did the wrong one. Okay, so screen, let's start up a new one. This is why it's taking us forever, but it's okay. All right, so here we go. And then this other one. All right, right. Oh. Okay, so who do we have over here? All right, so this is, who is this? Is this root? All right, let's go. Let's make it. Let's go back to where we were. I know it's getting confusing. Dang it. All right, so this is supposed to be root. All right, so yeah, there's root. Let's leave it as root. Let's try this as root ACL. I haven't tried that before. So we go in the other one. I mean, I never got good at it. I don't do that because of the sudo thing. So screen, because I mean, it's good to get the user thing down, because then you can, if you have a multi-user system, it's rare these days, but if you did, you could actually give another specific user access without having root. So it's probably worth learning. So let's do that. Let's do screen over here, and we'll say, so screen, so this is the the actual user account. All right, and we'll pretend like we're editing, and we're stuck and all that. And then I'm going to go to the other terminal, and now I'm going to connect here. Now we probably have to do the ACL thing. Let's do that since LBG looked it up for us. So to do that is Control A colon, which we can't see because it's not full screen. There we go. Control A colon, and then we're gonna and then we're gonna run multi-user on, which I think you can do as an argument when you started, but not an editor command. That's interesting. Oh wait. History. Multi-user. Okay. Yeah, we do, but we're not talking about that right now. We're doing a boost. Maybe after. It's a good question for question times. So let's do add ACL root, but we should probably do it to like another pretend user if we were going to do a true test. Not an editor command. What did I do? Add ACL root. Not an editor command. Oh. That's why. Wait. Oh, I forgot to do the leader. Whoopsie. Yeah, I know. I did a thing. So it's because it's the same colon down there. It's easy to mix up VI, right? So that's good you saw that mistake. Add ACL root. So this is just the leftover error from VI. All right. So now, now we need, I can't remember which one it is. There's well, I'm just going to do the F11 thing again. It's a Windows terminal problem. All right, so F11. Did I get that? Okay, so go back to the other pretend user, right? Okay, so then what we could do? Well, we'd have to know the screen, right? I wonder if you can do like all. No, I don't want to do that. Let's do, how can we list all the screens? Is it -L? I mean, that's what I remember doing, but I don't think that's it. Man screen. All this stuff, by the way, applies to Tmux later. Control tab. I don't think it is. It is. Okay, good. Yeah, but I don't think this shows, it doesn't show, it only shows your screens. I think to do it for another user, can you even do that? I wonder if you can do it. I know Tmux has that. Tmux will let you show all the sessions on the whole system. And I'm just curious if Screen has a thing. I've never looked that deeply into it. So let's see. Screen. No, I think you have to know the session owner, right? Has to give you the ID. Yeah, that would make sense. That would make sense. Yeah, so let's do that. We're pretending like we're the user, and we're gonna do that. So we're gonna do screen ls. All right, so we're gonna cut and paste this to our friend, and yeah, and then go back to this other thing our friend's trying to connect. So screen dash capital X, I'm pretty sure. RBX Rob. I don't even know if we need that, but I think we do. No screen sessions found. Huh. I wonder if it's out without this part here. You know, I've always had this problem. I've never been able to consistently to get it to work with the whole ACL stuff. I know it works, but there is no screen. There it is. Yay, we did it. Thank you. I finally did it. Now, just in case you're wondering, you're like, this looks like it's the same as the other one. It's not. See, look. We got users root, users RWX. Users root, users RWX root. Okay, so we are sharing screens, and that's the main thing I wanted to show before we covered it. So we did cover that. All of that stuff is doable in other things too. And by the way, that's very useful when you don't have a full. It's much less trouble to share a screen using that method. I know it took a long time to get the ACL set up and stuff, but in terms of like performance wise, everything we just did just uses text. It doesn't use like streaming bits, you know, like Discord or something would use, or Slack. So it's extremely useful when you're just going to share literally the same text terminal with somebody else. And there's lots of other fun ways to talk to them and thing. And you can put, yes, you can definitely put the commands in screen sessions. So put commands in tilde.screenrc if you want, but let's move on from screen now and move to what I do. Yes, I use that for pair programming all the time. Yeah, when I was mentoring people remotely for those 3 years, like COVID time, all of the stuff that we did like that was using this method. And, you know, VS Code, I've actually interviewed with the people who provided VS code sharing through VS Code. And they do amazing things, but they're ultimately just tunneling commands as well. They're just doing it in a different way, in a customized way using SSH. So this is using that same technology, but it's the same tech that's been around since the late 80s. And it's on everything. I mean, it really is. You can find screen on everything, right? You have the same or close terminal size. That is a big problem. And we're actually going to show that in Tmux. If you can do it in Tmux, Tmux is actually better. Yeah, Tmux is better than that, than screen. And it will, if you have one screen that's bigger than another screen. In fact, let's actually I kind of want to sample that right now. I do. I want to, but what it'll do is I'll just give you the TLDR. Is it'll like show that the other, whoever has a smaller screen, will see a full screen, and everybody else sees a version that's kind of been like fishbowled out, you know. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if I am here, and there's no way to do it unless you have a separate terminal, right? So I actually let's say, I mean, God, I can actually start Git Bash as an app with a teeny little terminal like this. All right, let's do this. This will be fun. All right, so let's really emulate this crap. Okay, screen does that too. All right, let's try that. Let's pretend like I'm on this super dinky tiny terminal, and I'm gonna SSH into Anton. Oh God, I don't think it's even enough. Did it even show it? Memory footprint markers to make the smallest possible footprint. It's like not even doing it right. It's my screen is like really not happy. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's do mini 1. Yeah, it does not like my environment at all. I don't know why. It just doesn't. So I don't know. We'll see if this works. I don't know if it's even going to work. We'll try. So God, I couldn't even see anything over there. This is really bad. All right, let me try again. Why isn't it like... That's very weird. I mean, it's working. It says term not set. Term equals VT100. One zombie process. It's very weird. Exec KSH. I need to do bash without my terminal login. I don't know. Export term equals VT100. No. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. This is kind of fun, actually. I like it when I know what's going on. It's something about my bash RCs, like it does not like it. I mean, how can I run a bash RC without running my configuration files when I start up? Wait, yeah. If it was, I mean, I'm trying to curse it on purpose, right? Yeah, but yes, but I know it's Xterm 226 colors, but I was trying to actually deliberately make it something different, but for the sake of it just working, let's try it. Pseudo terminal will not be allocated because setin is not a terminal. Yes, it is. It is definitely a terminal. How does it not know that it's a terminal? That is very weird. That is so weird. Hey, how you doing? Exec bash. Let's just say Chanton. We could say... I mean, this is what you get if you had a terminal. I mean, it's just not doing no echo or anything. What's it WinTTY? I've never used that. Is that a thing? I don't think I have it. We could do PowerShell. Oh, my eyes. I mean, I could run a different terminal instance. PowerShell is an SSH client? Oh, let's do that. I know we're like having fun here, but yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah. Now, this probably won't be able to go into Anton because I don't think it has the key set up. I don't think it has the... Oh, it does. Nice. The colors are wonk, but who cares? SSH min... God damn, it's like so tiny. SSH, sorry. Anyone. All right, so there we go. And my color scheme is horrible, but... All right, so now what? It says we're root, sudo su dash. We're going to change the root. I don't think I remember my password, but I'm going to try again. I just don't want you to hear it. Do. Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. All right, so password one. All right, so now, do we still have the cut and paste thing that we did? Let's do the thing again. We're doing this. Why we're doing this because we want to see. Okay, we cut and paste this to my buddy in chat. We're kind of testing and everything out. My friend is over here on PowerShell for some reason, and he's gonna like, okay. We're just using root, but it could have been any other user. So we're gonna say, based understanding. So let's do. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna do here. Screen dash x rbx rob slash delete your pet name. Bad idea. Yeah. Yay. Okay, that's what I okay, fine. I'm really glad we went through all that trouble because I have never seen this in Screen. This is a new thing. This is something that Screen didn't do with me. Yeah, but now watch what we can do. Oh, look, we can like watch the two at the same time. Yes. I mean, did I not say it was cool? It's pretty damn cool, huh? Yeah. So we're using the same exact thing. Now, this is actually one of the things that I do when I stream from my laptop. So from my laptop, I mean, imagine, the one person is telling the other person what's up over chat or something or phone. And, we're actually like looking at things. Sometimes we'll say, you need this here, and you can do it. It's really fun. It's really fun because it's very real time. I do have a story about this, actually. I told a little bit of the story before. I was one time setting up a bunch of configurations for Minecraft, and one of my system administrators for SKILSTAK decided that they were the most important person at that time, even though I had a bunch of like 9 to 12-year-olds who really, really wanted their Minecraft server stuff configured, and they were like making noise and getting restless, and I was still configuring stuff. And they were home. They were like, the admin was completely home. And I was trying to do something. They tried to ask me questions about Minecraft. I said, I don't have time. So I banned them in Minecraft temporarily so they would just leave me alone. Plus the kids were freaking out because he was like making all kinds of stuff. And so he got mad. And so he logged into my server while I was typing in Tmux as root. And he joined my Tmux/screen session. And he started typing. Imagine being here trying to configure Minecraft with all these kids yelling. And he started doing this. He just started typing random stuff so that I would give him attention. I have gotten very angry in the past, but I don't think I've ever blown a gasket as much as that. Yeah, he thought it was funny. He thought it was really funny. And by the way, if you ever hack someone, like truly hack them, a friend of yours or something like that, and you really want to mess with them, and they use Tmux or Screen, you know where I'm going with this, right? It's pretty damn fun. You can actually cause them to type. Well, and they can be in the middle of a Tmux editing session, and all of a sudden you can just start randomly typing stuff. Because if you have root access, you can join the Tmux session without asking permission, so you can take over their keyboard. Like what we're doing right here. It's really funny. We used to do that. We used to deliberately set up situations like that in the classroom. Just for fun, just to show, different things you can do. You can also watch the TTY and everything. So this is, I think this was a fun rabbit hole. We still have a couple hours left, so nobody needs to worry. You're plugging in a second keyboard into colleagues' machines and messing with their editing. Exactly. Yeah, that sounds about right. Then you shut down your connection and take your machine control. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. The scariest thing that ever happened to me that I allowed to happen because I set up this scenario at SKILSTAK for being hacked. I deliberately set up my personal Mac to have an account on it that they knew the password for. And it's always really fun because Macs, unlike other systems, if you have a Mac, by the way, try this. It's really fun. All right. if your mom or dad has a Mac, or you have a Mac, or anybody has a Mac, right? Get them to add to either let you log in as them or to add an account on the system, right? Say, well, I just need to use your Mac for a second or something. If they give you an account on the system, anybody, anybody on a Mac system who types say will be heard. You can totally hear it. Here, I'll show you what I mean. All right, so I'm not going to show you my terminal, but I'm going to show you this. This is one of the most entertaining jokes you can ever do to somebody. There's actually a video about this.
Hey there, Rob.
All right, you see that? All right, let me zoom in. Nothing there bad to show. All right, so
I just want to show everyone how to make this computer speak.
all right, so this is built in to every Mac. Every Mac has that. It's built in. So, yeah, you can do wall. Yeah, you can do wall from over here too. We were doing that the other day. The thing that makes Mac so much fun here is that you can. I mean, I have two of them. that's my personal one. This is my work one. Anyway, so is making it talk. Yeah. No, but so I've had. Okay, so this is what you do. You get an account on there, right? And then you go in the other room and you get on your Raspberry Pi or your whatever, and then you SSH into the machine. That's the thing you do. You make sure you have SSH access. You SSH onto the machine, and anything you type will verbalize where you're typing it. So we did this actually. We did this to my wife once during a cybersecurity camp, and she was upstairs, like, just vegging out on the couch and everything. And I SSH'd into her computer and I went, "Hey, Doris, how are you?" from downstairs, and she freaked out. And we had another guy do this to his dad, and his dad did not like it. His dad, I don't think it works on iPads. It would be great if you could. You could use the iPad to type in to go to the other thing. So his dad did not like it. His dad didn't think it was funny. But the scariest one of all, okay, so I had just taught this. And so, I mean, it's always more fun when young people get to feel like when young people get to feel like they're hacking Mr. Rob, right? So on my personal laptop, I set up this account. I set up this temporary account for everybody to do this, right? So it was like it wasn't one. It had to have been like 11. It was late. It was dark. My sessions had finished and everything. And I was coding. I was like in the middle. I think I was writing the password manager for the kids who can't remember the password and something. And I was like in the middle of a coding session downstairs, and it was kind of dark, and I could see out the front, but it was, the school was closed and everything. And all of a sudden, my computer started talking to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Rob, how you doing?" Hoo ha 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 ha. And I was like, "What?" And I freaked out. I totally jumped, and I was like, "What is going on?" And it turns out that one of my students who had been in the group that day or before had figured out how to use SSH to remote connect. And we had an SSH tunnel that I also taught him about, because our server was internal. So no kidding, this is what they did. So they used, I think it was, what's the lemon one? The SSH? A turn off light. So they had SSH'd into my server at home. They SSH'd into my server at home, which was the school server. Everybody had an account over there and everything. And so as soon as they did that, it was as if they were in my classroom. And that was on purpose. I left that on purpose so people could, log in and get work done and stuff. A lot of them didn't have Macs at home. I mean, Linux machines at home. They would SSH into our main server, and it was before I went into the cloud. And so they were in there, and so they were inside of my house. And as soon as they were in there, they had access to all of our personal machines. So he SSH'd from that machine into my Mac during a football game from his phone, and got it to talk to me at like 9 or 10 p.m. It freaked me out. It was so great. It was so awesome. It was like, and he said hi from the football game. That's what he said. And then later on, like when he came back, he's like, did it work? And I'm like, yeah, it worked. He scared the crap out of me. It was so funny. I mean, obviously that's not really hacking, but it did take a certain level of skill to practice all that SSH connecting, not to mention the fact that he was doing it from his phone, and he installed an SSH app on his phone. By the way, season 5 of Mr. Robot, Darlene is using that same app. She's like, to deploy the thing against the Deus group, she's doing it. She's like thumbing, she's like hacking, she's like running Perl Python code from her phone using SSH to do all the connections and everything. So that's actually kind of fun. And since we're talking about screen and sharing and all of that, it kind of goes along with it. All right. Well, it's 4:08. We have 2 hours left, but I do want to spend a good amount of time on Tmux. We're probably going to spend about an hour on it. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video right now. You came here for the stories, stayed for the stories. We are going to talk about how Tmux relates to screen and all of that. I am going to take a 5-10 minute break really quick. So I'll put some music on and I'm going to mute. I'm going to pause the YouTube video. All right, so we're back again. We just took a little break here. So the focus now for the next hour is Tmux. And we've been demonstrating quite a bit all the advantages of PowerShell and SSH and Tmux and all that jazz. And we're gonna exit everything, get off of Mini 2, and actually close this entire session down, and just talk about how Tmux is the same. So Tmux is the same, stands for Terminal Multiplexer, and it was invented by, what is Tmux? I don't remember the name of the guy, but it's got a lot of advantages. It's a lot like GNU Screen. It teaches you all these things. Lack of built-in serial or telnet. I don't think I remember that. Yeah, I remember... I mean, nobody knows what that is, but in the old days, you'd actually connect a terminal directly, and you could use Tmux or telnet, or screen from your computer, and you could attach directly to a serial line, which I don't think anybody even uses anymore, but that was one of the main ways. I think some Cisco routers still use that kind of connectivity. So anyway, that was an advantage of that. It's basically just a way to connect to screens. But Tmux, I think, oh God, I don't know about that. So here we are. And you see me use Tmux all the time. So I think now, having gone through all the screen stuff for the last hour and a half, you might get a sense of where I'm coming from when I'm switching back and forth. And I don't know if you noticed, but I'm using the same keys as screen. And I want to spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about this. Okay. So and we're going to go through my Tmux config, which is, largely stolen from somebody else. But what I want to talk about before we get into that is, tmuxrc. I want to talk about the importance of consistent muscle memory. So, screen is on pretty much everything, as I said, since forever. And that leader key, the control A, and those other keys that we're learning, the main ones anyway, and the control A to go back and forth, the control AC to create a new screen, control A, W to list all the ones. The control A 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever to pick one. The control A left, square bracket for copying, opening, and pasting. All of those commands are burned into my muscle memory from having used Screen for more than a decade. And not just mine, but a lot of other people, right? And yet we're teaching you as beginners, and so we have to ask the question, what should you be burning into your muscle memory? Now, we have already started with the premise that your priorities are being fast and good on lots of systems. So for example, as we saw, SSH Mini 2, I just installed Mini 2. This is a bare bones Ubuntu Linux machine. It's been uncustomized. It has VI on there. It has VI that's uncustomized. It doesn't have all of the extra stuff and everything. And it doesn't have Tmux, but I imagine it does have Screen. Yep, it does. So it has Screen on here, right? And so right away, oh boy, I'm getting that problem because I'm already in a Tmux session. That was a bad thing. We'll talk about that later. But the point of it is that the muscle memory is consistent, right? It's across the board. It's on Solaris and AX and Unix. So I think I've made my point there. That consistent muscle memory for a systems operations person, infrastructure engineer, or a hacker is way more important than sort of single workstation power that you would get from an IDE or Emacs or something like that. So those are the priorities. And I need to say that. I say that every single time we talk about this kind of thing, because there'll be somebody out there watching who's going to be like, why are you doing that? Why don't you just use X or Y? And, this is like way harder. Why are you going through the hassle of this? And the biggest one, the biggest single complaint that I get when I talk about Tmux, which I'm about to do, is why aren't you using the defaults? And so I'm answering that question right now. The reason I don't use, normally I'm a defaults guy. I mean, for the most part, I'm a defaults guy. I don't think, line history set that show VI mode. I do that. That's not a default. I've taken crap over that before, by the way. The first thing I do on any terminal anywhere, no matter what, is to do set space -o space VI so that my history works. And so I have VI mode instead of Emacs mode, which we talked about at length some time ago. I'm not going to rehash that, but that's why. That's the first non-default that I use. I don't actually particularly agree that Emacs should have been the default, because Emacs is not Unix. Fundamentally, it's got major problems. It's not even close to Unix. It's not even really a text editor. It's much more. And so I set that show VI. And the other thing that I'll do that's a departure from the default is I will customize Tmux. Now, people are like, well, if you're used to the customized version of Tmux, devil's advocate would say, well, what happens when you get on some system that's got Tmux? What do? You can't copy your configuration over. Are you just completely useless? And the answer is yes, mostly. However, most of the time on those systems, guess what's also over there? Screen. Not always, but Screen. So if I get on a system, if I am randomly asked to administer a Solaris box or something like that, or some Linux system that happens to have Tmux on it, chances are it's also going to have Screen. Or if it doesn't have Screen, I can usually muddle through with Tmux by looking through the defaults. For example, the default leader in Tmux is Control B. I have no idea why they did that. It doesn't make any sense at all to me. In fact, the reason that Tmux didn't pick the defaults that match Screen to this day annoys the crap out of me, because they had a perfect opportunity to make a tool that had consistent muscle memory with the existing tool they were trying to replace, and they chose not to. It's my single biggest complaint about Tmux as a project. Because why? And were they trying to be different? I mean, what was the point? Was it going to be overlap? I mean, what was the justification for throwing out 25 years of muscle memory from your potential user group? I have no idea why they did that, but they did. They did. And to be fair, I actually will now use that to my advantage. So sometimes I will have a tmux inside of a tmux. Oh yeah, way after screen. Oh hell yeah. Screen, yeah. You can see screen being used on systems, on 3270 systems before tmux, the people who made tmux were even born. So, yeah, it's been around a long time. Anyway, so, I mean, and that's what it was invented for, right? It was invented to deal with the cutting and pasting and stuff like that from multiple terms. Screen was invented before the mouse was invented. That's how old it is. Anyway, so let's now turn into talk about the tmux configuration. I actually don't want to talk about the defaults because honestly, I only know a few of them and I really hate them. I really hate them. So let's just jump. First of all, the only thing you need to know about tmux to get going is that tmux is screen for all intents and purposes. The configuration and stuff is the differences between screen, I'm going to put them right here. Differences between screen and tmux, right? The main differences between screen and tmux, and very simply put, are tmux allows you to split panes, hello, cow, say hello. You can split panes. And there's a lot of other customizations you can do with tmux. Honestly, those are the main substantial differences. In terms of like just using the basic multiplexer advantages, it's the same. The command to attach and everything is the same, and all that, right? I mean, looking at all the windows is a little bit cooler, but that was leader AW, and so yeah, and the cut and paste is all the same. So we don't really have to talk about that anymore because it's got basically the same thing. By the way, the split screen stuff, I've changed mine to use the different things. So let's dive right into the configuration. If you're practicing along with me right now, actually just run tmux or install it, and you'll see it's there. All right. So actually, let's do that. Let's start a new terminal over on Win2 instead of maybe we could do this in a Docker container or on Win2. Either way, it doesn't matter. All right, so we still have some stuff running up over here on min1. So here's my min1, right? So min1, this is, that Mac Mini over there. It has no tmux on it. It shouldn't anyway. Maybe it does. Nope, it doesn't. So, you can get two different versions. Sudo apt install -y tmux. So that's the first way to get it. Oh, darn it. Dag nabbit. I need to set up passwordless SSH so that I can do that without risk. Anyway, so here we go. So now we have tmux, right? Now this is bare bones tmux. I'm going to turn my camera off for a bit since you can see everything. So you've got, you got basically the same thing. I mean, the first thing you're going to notice is that at the bottom, you get to see this stuff all the time. So, and the leader keys are different, right? So there's me trying to do screen and it's not working. So the default leader key is B, and I think C is still a new one. Yep. So see down there, we got our new one, right? And I think if you want to rename it, what is it? I don't remember. I don't even remember all the commands. It's not. Let's see. All right. So to rename a window is comma. So B comma another, and then I'll make that down there. And you can see that the bar is on all the time, and it's got all this great stuff down here for you to manage and do stuff with. It also, BW gives you this whole thing that we talked about. So this is a default tmux, right? This is a default tmux. But you can tell it's kind of ugly. It's kind of in your face. And so I have done a lot of significant configuration to my tmux, because I've allowed tmux to take the place of a window manager. So tmux kind of fills the role of a window manager and a portion of an IDE, like the shell of an IDE. Oh, you can totally change the green. Yeah. And we're gonna do all that actually. So yeah, let me go back here. So I mean, I am actually running tmux right now. So as you can see, I've already customized my stuff up here is much less, in your face. I've changed my thing. I don't know if you can see it, but I regularly run. So wait, give me a second here. So over here is another little window. Now I normally put, I actually cheat. I use this little window to the side of tmux to push the window over, and I've changed, when I make a new window, it makes it automatically, it creates two panes so that it's pushed over so that my chat always has a consistent background. And I know it's kind of a hack, but I don't care. It works well for me. So, but I don't know if you can see that, but when I've taken over the control A, C, or I changed it to B to A. And when I do a C, instead of it just making a main window, it also creates an additional pane. And that's because tmux lets you almost infinitely customize how it works. In fact, the entire interaction with a screen of any kind, a screen or a pane, can be 100% interactively coded through scripting. And I've done a lot of this. This is actually how, like when I do banner like that, right? So, or there's different things. I think I like my fishies, there's fishies banner. I mean, I have a number of things that use this method. And so I just wanted to cover that. So, and then I'm going to make a new window here. All right. So we're about to talk about the default. So here is a raw tmux, unconfigured, and here is my tmux, right? And in fact, in my tmux, you can have a tmux inside of a tmux, but we're going to talk about that. So let's jump right into the file. So the tmux configuration file is in tmux.conf in your home directory, and you can do the whole symlink thing. And I have added lots and lots of stuff to this thing. It is 110 lines long, so it's not as long as it used to be. But we're going to go through it, okay? And we're just going to start from the beginning. Fix accidentally typing accent characters by forcing the terminal to not wait around. Every single tmux file should have this. This is true, except for I didn't know about it until recently. Somebody recently told me about this. So this just makes it so that if you accidentally type like French characters or something, that it's not going to do weird things. Change the default meta key to the same as screen. Unbind B, remember there's the B, and bind it to A. So that's the first thing. All of these changes I take no credit for. I got them. I did a search for how do I make tmux like screen, and they were all there. All right, so we're just going to go through them. So set-G prefix CA. This is, that's interesting. This set-G makes it a global variable that works for everything. I don't know when I accidentally scroll on my touchpad. Oh yeah, you can turn that off. You can turn mouse stuff off completely. So form, I'm just going to go through this. So form vi tmux dy buffer sync. I forgot about this one. I don't even know what that does. I don't know. Let's go see. So this is actually one of the bad parts about tmux is that the documentation is kind of hard to get through because there's so much of it. First time I found it, I was like really turned off by it because it was so huge. So focus events, when enabled, focus events are requested from the terminal if support is passed through the application running in Tmux. Attached clients should be detached and attached thereafter again as the option. So, I think this was because, I remember what I was doing. It doesn't work. What I was trying to do was synchronize my Tmux buffer with my Vim buffer, which you can do. You can there. I haven't got it working right now, but there is a way to make it so that when you do a Tmux buffer cut, it pastes it into your VI buffer also, and vice versa. So if you want those buffers to copy, I don't even use buffers very much. I just use the Tmux copy and paste, and when that doesn't work, I send stuff to a file and then just :R into the other file. Just easier. Use a different prefix for nesting. Okay, so this is super important for me because, if you want to send the prefix, sometimes you need to be able to send like the same one. I think I'm using. Am I using Y? Send prefix. I don't even remember doing that. Technically, that means I should be able to do a tmux inside of a tmux. Yeah, but that's what that does. So Control Y. I don't know what send prefix is. Changing the default private prefix key. Oh, hey, there you go. Control A, send prefix. All right, so that's what it's doing. So that's sending prefix to inside of another one. So like if you ever actually get where you're doing a tmux from a tmux, you can do that. Add double tap meta key to toggle last window. Yeah, I don't know why this wasn't built in by default. Oh, no. You have to add it because of the A. Because you got rid of it, right? So I think you need to do that. I wonder if it's set to by default. Last window. Last window, target, alias, last. Select the last previous select window. Oh, by the way, all of these commands can be executed from the command line. So you do the leader key, colon, and then you can type it. You can last window, and it will go to the other one. Every single thing can be done with a command, and it has history. So I push the up arrow, last window, and it goes back. So, oh, nice. Well, we'll see. I'm on to 22. So glad. Network management is so much easier. So anyway, so that's last window. Pane colors and displays. So this is the thing that everybody wants to know about, right? This is something I added that no one has ever told me to do, but I love it. So I unbound bar and made bar and slash into window splitting. Right? So when I want a pane split, I push that. I do Control A and then slash or bar. And that splits my pane horizontally. And when I want to split vertically, I use dash or underscore. I don't even remember what the defaults are. We could probably go look. Split window, alias. So that splits you in half, either way. And I use that a lot. So those are that's that part. Kill the current window on all panes. So this is something that I don't think was set before that I use all the time. The reason I added this was because I needed something to hit fast, and for example, I have 2 panes up right now, right? I told you about that. But if I want to get rid of both of them quickly, I can do Control A, and then I do Shift amp, and whatever, and sign, and that just kills both windows and the panes in those windows. So it's like, for me, it's like close, and that's like really burned into my memory. But it's only a tmux thing, right? I only need that if I've got a situation where I'm opening more than one window at the same time, or more than one pane at the same time. All right, so tmux.com. Oh, set the VI mode keys, which is a no-brainer. You can do Emacs mode, but I don't. Status keys for VI as well. That's like, so when you go up and down like this, I'm pushing J and K because it's VI mode, right? VI mode. And change the. So this is another thing that's not the default, right? That I added. These two things I added. When I split, I want to be able to resize. I want to be able to navigate using VI keys. So I do Control A, H goes to the left, Control A, L goes to the right, etc. If I want to resize, it's the same. So I do Control A, wait. Why isn't it working right now? Something's not working right now. My resizing is not working. I don't know why. Wait, what? Oh, it's control. I don't know why that's not working. I must have broke something while I was doing all this. Oh, there we go. Control A, JJJ. Control A, Control KKK. So it's the same as movie. So my take of it is that the only difference between changing ones. Oh, control was on. Caps lock was on. No wonder. The only difference between changing ones. So I'm just doing Control A, H, Control A, J. The only difference between that and actually resizing is holding control down. So then I can just change it back and forth. Right? All right. So that's all that is about. Okay. Customize a new window for streaming. This you probably don't need. I got rid of the C key, which makes a new thing, and I bound it. This is a good example of how to write a script in Tmux. The config is totally forkable. This is all in my Git files. If you go in my files under Tmux, you'll see it. Yeah. I could probably go find a direct link if somebody wants to provide it. But so as you can see, you can anything here, and this can be, so again, everything in everything in the configuration file, these are commands that you can execute with a colon right here. I could type this whole command out if I wanted to. So this is kind of a script for Tmux. And the thing that's really cool about this is if you add a semicolon, you can chain the commands. You can do as many as you want, one after the other. So what I did is I changed the C command to make a new window, to split the window in half, to select the top pane, and then to resize the pane to 18, based on my expected size, and then to send the keystrokes blank pane, to the right, blank pane, and then the enter key, and then just select pane 2. So if you watch really carefully, and when I do Control AC, you can see that run. You see that blank pane over there? You see it does it again? There's a little bit of lag. It depends on how, you see what I'm saying? It's doing a new one every time. And this is why I've killed these things with the way I have, is because it opens up 2 or 3 10 panes. So it is infinitely customizable. I mean, it's really infinitely customizable. You can do anything. You can do you can have, I mean, the whole Unix philosophy, right? You can actually run a program, right? That's what this is. So this runs the blank pane program by sending the exact keystrokes, blank pane enter over there. If I change this, I could do this. I could say cow say hello, right? Now check it. So, by the way, you can actually, I've got mine set to reload by just doing R. But now when I make a new one, now it puts cow say over there, right? So let's get rid of that. Let's give us some more room here. So this is 18. Actually, before I get too crazy, let's do blank pane. Blank pane just it opens an infinite loop on the pane. So let's put a comment in this one. Makes a blank pane. Yeah, that's what this is. Split window is the long version of that. It absolutely is. Yep. This one by itself, it doesn't make a blank pane. It does make a blank pane, but it starts a bash shell, right? So I run blank pane in order to keep it from putting the prompt in there. In fact, watch. If I take it out, I'll show you. I'll take it out, right? So if I take this out, yeah, and so I'm going to do Control A R, which I'll show you down below, reloads the config. And now you see that's what you get without it, right? So if I add blank pane back, but I can do this. I can say send, let's only do like, you can't pass an empty string. No, let's try it. Let's try it. Yeah, I mean, it will type the empty string. Yeah. It will type the empty string. So again, the thing to keep in mind is that these are the exact keystrokes that are going to be sent to the screen. When you make a new pane, it automatically starts a new shell, right? So after that, it's like whatever. This should actually, there we go. So it's a little bit smaller now because we made it smaller. But if we can make it bigger, let's make it like 40. How about that? How about no? Let's do 40. That should be about half of the screen. And now you see it's got that going on, yeah? So, I mean, you can customize this infinitely. It's like so cool. But if, now that we're that big, we have room for Calce. Calce, hello. Enter. And now if I do this, I get, oh, it didn't work. Why didn't it work, my friends? Let's see. Send Calce, enter. Huh. I feel like I got gypped. Oh, I didn't reload it. There we go. There's my Calce. And by the way, every new screen that I do has the same thing. So, because I took over the command for making a new one. That's what this unbind is. So the thing is I'm trying to make a point is that you can customize it infinitely to do whatever you want. If you want to start, K9, you could make yourself a key to do that if you wanted. I mean, you could too. Like if, let's say you want to use, had a combination of things that were terminal based, you could do it. It's kind of infinitely scriptable. And to a guy who used to really like things like expect and stuff back in the day, this is kind of nice because you can script pretty much anything. Avoid cursor movement, messing with the resize. Yeah, this keeps, so if you're, the reason for this is kind of like when I split a screen and then I'm like resizing. Oh, it's actually working, you just can't see it. I didn't notice that before. See? That 200 milliseconds is the resize time. And that's because if I wait too long, then it's like, oh, you want to do something else. And it kind of frees it up. So you have to make sure that the keystrokes are within 200 milliseconds. Otherwise, it will think that it wants to send it to the screen, to the thing, right? And that's preferable because sometimes you don't necessarily want to, you got to be careful because like sometimes your editor command might have key repeat, commands that might, take it over or whatever. So we'll give blank pane again another shot. Exit this one. Blank pane is just a loop that just clears the screen. It's just to make an empty pane. There's probably a better way to do that, unless somebody can let me know. But so far, that's the best I got. Here's some fun stuff. So, I forgot to show this. Screen has this and Tmux. So if you do Control A T, you get the time, right? And I believe that works in Screen as well. And you can set the format of the time. You can set the color of the time, whatever. It's kind of nice. This is a valid, if you don't set there's a better way to do this, but if you set the default terminal to screen 56 color, that's, I think, the thing that, I need to reload my base. There we go. Okay. All right. So if I want to do sunrise, for example, see this, you see the colors that are represented in that? The colors are kind of off a little bit. And right now, this is something that's not configured properly. I have to go look at it some more. But if you want millions of colors, you have to make sure to set the right terminal type. And I've played with all kinds of stuff to get this. People yell at me for doing this one, but I think it actually might work better. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do xterm, but I do. So I have people yell at me all the time for that. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell because it's moving so fast. Because let's do color strip. Yeah, see that color strip? See how wonky it is? That's because it's not doing millions of colors. And I don't know why that is. I haven't looked into it. I haven't cared enough to look into it yet. On Linux, you get very, very clean like gradients between all of them. You get millions of colors. I think this is 2D color mode. So that's something to look at. I do kind of want to try this one. I think it's more actually. I think this is more of a function of the of Microsoft. I wonder how to fix that. I wonder if that's something we could look at right now. I haven't spent a lot of time researching the settings on Windows Terminal for this kind of thing. I think, yeah, there's just the basic terminal colors. My color themes, by the way, are in my Windows section in my dot files, and the JSON file for creating my darkened Ubuntu colors groove boxes in there if you want to copy mine. And yeah, I feel like cursor, color theme, groove box, Ubuntu mono, font weight, font size, background no. Yeah, I want to say that it's actually a limitation of the terminal, but I don't know that. So if somebody can figure that out, I might have to go look at it again. I haven't really cared, honestly. Oh, so here's the other old one still, right? Yeah, it's not a thing. I don't even know if sunrise is a thing. Damn it. I can't remember, and I don't like guessing with my camera on. Nope, guess not. Oh well. Nope, that's like an extra install. I don't know where I installed that from. Anyway, there's all kinds of toys you can go find out there. Yep. Yes. All right, so that's what you do there. If you want a 12-hour mode, you can change to that, which I kind of do actually. So time is now 4:52 p.m. We're going for another hour. I should probably start doing that. I'm always like tapping my phone. I should just be doing that instead. Why am I not doing that? That's dumb. Yep. Okay, so I have the colors of the clock. I have the dash G, by the way, is global. The base index, pane base index. I don't know what those are. We can go find out though. Base index. Set the base index from an unused index should be searched when the new window is created. Oh. Yeah. Oh, I know why that is. Because before it was putting a 0 and everything. What's burning? Something's burning. Like bad. Give me a sec. Is that you burning something? Oh, I was afraid of my computer. I thought maybe my servers were on fire. Are my servers okay? Yeah, my servers okay. All right, so I know. That's what I was afraid of. No, but I need to get one. I need to get one and put it right above there. I'm going to get some halon in here now. My wife's like boiling water / burning water. Anyway, so set, yeah, me too. So set SG clock water mode. You got them. So this, by the way, this makes the very first one 1 instead of 0. I don't know if you remember that, but check it. So you see how, wait. All right, you see at the top, when I make a new one, I can go to 1 here, right? And then 2. So that's it. That's the base index. If you don't have that, the base index is 0. And that's like totally non-intuitive. I mean, you can do it, but you know what I mean? So watch, I'm going to change it. I'm going to see if I can change it. Set -g base index 1. Huh. Oh, it did it. It did it. See? Now when I make a new one, it's like 1, 2, right? It's not 0. 0 is the window. And stuff. So wait, what? Wait, are we in the right place? Yeah, okay. I feel like wait, where did our stuff go? Oh, by the way, there's no dashes and all that stuff. Oh, there is another session. I see. Yep. I don't know what's on here. Give me a sec. Tmux. Oh, that was the one. Okay, that was weird. I switched between Windows sessions on accident. Different Tmux. You can have like multiple Tmux sessions, and I actually had one running with multiple windows. That was what was going on. Yeah, we talked about the server before. There's a server, and there's like 19 Mac Minis. There's going to be 30 Raspberry Pis and stuff. So you can watch me build it. I've been doing it all weekend. Daily or the tasks? That's a great question. Not for right now, though. Can you save that question till Q&A time? Because we're trying to get through the boost here. I don't have anything about that yet, Matt. All right, so here we go. So base pane index and the pane index and the pane. Huh. That's not fun. Just be careful right next to Control C. Xterm stuff. The Xterm stuff, honestly, is a way. You want to use this one. This is a way to get the right terminal colors. And you might have to, everybody has a different problem here. So this, you can go read about it on the internet. You can go pick one. The Xterm one that I have got around a problem with millions of color support on Linux and then Alacrity when I was using it back then when I was using it. I don't use it anymore. And you know, mileage may vary. So this is the terminal that Tmux reports as the term variable. So sometimes like you'll run an app that'll have the proper millions of colors in your terminal on Linux or Windows or something. And then when you run it under Tmux, it like like changes the colors and everything so that they don't have the same resolution and everything, is because of this terminal crop. So I'm just gonna tell you, you're gonna have to. I already have some tweaking I need to do because right now I don't have millions of colors. Right. When you do screen 2 to 6 color, you get millions of colors, and you don't get that. See, my sunrise is. Oh wait, I fixed it. That is what you want. Oh my God, I just can lock it all day now. I am so happy that worked while I was on the stream, because I was like, why isn't it working? So like, watch. If I load up this one again, watch it fail. I'm gonna try it again. Yep, now I fixed it again. So something about that combination makes this work. You see how it's millions of colors? And before it wasn't, right? You saw that earlier. Earlier you saw that we were not anywhere near it. Watch lolcat. Yeah. Lolcat, it'll be, look at that. Look at how much cleaner it is now. The colors are they're not as the gradients are not as distinct. And that, so that's, you might have to play with that. This one is supposed to be bad. It doesn't break anything to do that. It's just, if you're reporting that your terminal is Xterm and you're not actually using Xterm, you're kind of lying. So, you might want to read into those a little bit. Okay, so people want to know about this all the time, so I'll talk about it. I know you can't see it right now, but I actually have a hacked version of Tmux that makes this middle line right here an actual transparent character. And I just put a plugin for that. That is in my GitHub. If you do GitHub Tmux, you can see I have a hacked version. It's just one line you have to change and recompile to get rid of this line. Otherwise, the closest thing you can do, I mean, if I had a different color scheme, this would be, not good, because it would, you change the back border. Let's change it back to normal, for example. It hacks her. I did. I hacked it in there. It's not that bad. I just found the line. So let's do this. Let's do reload those, right? And make a new one. Oh no, it's still the same. Okay, interesting. Do I set it someplace else? Where is it? Okay, so, oh, right. Cool. Okay. When not using hacked Tmux without them. So again, the hack is really, really simple. It's like you just have to replace this one line of characters with something else, and you'll get rid of this like residual line. I know you can't see it right now, but there's like a little bit of a line, and I actually don't mind. I've gone back and forth between not having a line and having one. And as I said earlier, I'm more of a separate window kind of guy right now. But I did add sort of a little line, so if people are watching, they can at least see there's a different thing here. I am a fan of subtlety. I like, whatever they call them, like no distractions modes of things, so that all the informational stuff fades into the background as much as possible, so that the focus is on the stuff you're working on. And I read the psychology of this that says this also, you shouldn't have a big gaudy prompt, because it will force your attention, and your distraction will be on the prompt that's telling you, the humidity in Australia at 5 a.m. You don't need any of those things. How long you remind me? Take a ring? Oh, since 94. So yeah. This is the boost, by the way. So if you want to go get started, you can go watch it. We're recording a boost videos for everybody right now, and we have Q&A sessions every Monday through Thursday. I got rid of Friday because I want to go out and stuff. So anyway, we're gonna go exit this guy. So the color of the Windows selection background. So this is for. I actually don't know what this is. Oh, there we go. That's this color. Very unique Mac bug. I have never encountered this Mac bug again. I don't run Tmux on Mac that much. I actually do. I run on both my Macs, but I have not hit this command problem as much. It's probably worth removing it, but I can't even remember the bug. I have to go look at it. This is a very, very, very handy thing. Like if you're in the middle of like editing your file right here and you're trying to tweak everything, then you can do Control A R and that reloads all your changes. So I don't know if you've seen, but that's what I've been doing this entire time. I've been doing it to rechange the config while in the config. See, otherwise you have to save it and go out and reload it and restart Tmux. It's a pain in the butt. So that one line is probably worth watching all 20 minutes of this because it's so valuable. So here's all the status style stuff. I mean, what happens when I turn these off? So let's load that up. Oh, it didn't change much. LS. No, that's not it. That didn't change much. I wonder if I have it down here again. Oh, I do. Yeah, some of these things I gotten just overzealous on them, right? Okay, so let's talk about this. The status line is the stuff up in the top. This is the stuff you can change right here. Tmx Conf. And this is the colors that set this. You can use different color schemes, but you recognize this is probably CSS colors, RGB in hexadecimal values. And you can set the background. I have the background as default, which it took me a long time to figure out, is transparent. So usually you want that. I changed my status position to the top. If you want your status position to be on the bottom, you can change it back. A lot of people like it there. So now it's down at bottom. Now you can see why I don't like it at the bottom though, because it's at the bottom and then I also have my Vim stuff down at the bottom and it kind of gets messy. So I don't really like that. And then you go up here and we can change it to top. What does side look like? What is that? What's that about? Is that even a thing? Apparently that's not a thing. Well, okay. Top. There we go. So it's back up there. The status interval. Okay. The status interval, don't do this unless you have most modern computers can do this. The status interval causes the status to update once a second. And the reason I changed it, it's only, by default, I think it's like 6 or 7 or something. The reason I changed is that because of my pomo command. All right. Z pomo start. So my pomo command, as you can see, this is a tmux status line item. And sometimes it gets off a little bit, but the reason is because it's only updated. It runs the zpomo status command every interval, 1, 2 seconds, whatever it is, right? If you just run zpomo from the command line, you get the same thing, right? Now, so this reduces us to some really crazy cool stuff that you can do with tmux that you can't do with Screen at all. You can actually integrate in a Unix way, the whole filter idea, Unix filters, right? Anything that produces output. You can take anything that can run and put it into your status line. And you can move it around and decide what color it's going to be, et cetera, right? In fact, right here, I turned all this stuff off. This is stuff I had here for streaming. For a long time, I was keeping my synchronizing using the Twitch API. I would send the content of .status up to Twitch. So right now that would be the equivalent. I use commands for this now, so I don't really care about this stuff. But if you do title, you'll see my current title, right? And this thing right here would be that. And so this would actually put whatever my current status was on the screen in my tmux line, status line. And for that reason, I would actually embed 2 tmuxes, one with WeChat and the bottom pane and another so that they don't change. This is a little trick that I will show you at the end if you're good. But you can actually use 2 tmux sessions, one embedded inside of another, in order to have one pane that is on every single window. And that's how I use for WeChat. I'm giving up my secrets here, but that's how I do it. We're not ready to talk about that right now. We're doing the boost thing. All right, so down here, I mean, so this just shows you how to run a thing, right? If you wanted to change status left, let's do that. Let's change status left to be, I mean, I think it gets overwritten. We could do status left. Let's just put the date command in here or something, right? All right, now let's reload that. So there we go. So there's the date command, right? I could actually use my hnow command. Let's do header now. Oh, it just gives you the first part. We could do now. How about that? Sunday, August, whatever. And when we run at, we're running out of space here. So we might have to change the space. Yeah, there we go. So we gave ourselves some more space. You see what it does now? See, there we go. WeChat connected to Slack. Ooh, very cool. Yeah, I would love this to get WeChat connected to Slack. That'd be so cool. I need to go back to doing that. So this is, I put the date up here, and that's how you could do that if you wanted. I mean, this is all just different ideas of ways you can do this. But you know, lately I like minimal stuff. I don't put a lot in there. I had the countdown to the boost in there and a bunch of other things. So here's the POMO. See that? Status right is the POMO. So I know it seems like a waste, right? But every second, no matter what, the zpomo command runs. It just doesn't print stuff out if there's no data. So my zpomo is constantly on and printing even when there's nothing in there. It's not very efficient. There's probably a better way to do it. In fact, these days, I'm probably going to put an overlay because I want it to work when I'm not using a terminal. Right now, it only works when I have a terminal, right? And I'm kind of getting down with browser source overlays in Twitch, which is a web tech, which is another good reason to get into web tech, actually, for me. Very valid reason. Browser overlays are how OBS does this kind of stuff instead. So, I mean, you can zero them out. You can change their colors. You can turn the status completely off if you want. You know, if you don't want a status, there you go. And then you can just use W to get the stuff that you want, right? You know what I'm saying? You really don't have to have it if you don't want. That's weird. Why is it zoomed? I don't get it. Why it's zoomed. It says it's zoomed, but it's not. And that's it. That's it. That was pretty easy, huh? Not too bad. So that is Tmux. That is my Tmux. Most of Tmux, of course, is getting used to using it. There's just no way. You just have to jump right in, honestly. Oh, here we go. See, look, now I don't know there's a Tmux running, so I still think there's another one. That's one of the reasons I like a visible header. Because, there we go. We'll turn it back on. Because then I know I have one running already. All right, so let me show you what it looks like to have two Tmuxes running at the same time on the same machine and why you might want to do it. Okay. I'd be careful not to dock stuff here because I don't know if my WeChat's configured to log in properly. But first things first, you can't run a Tmux inside of another Tmux unless you tell Tmux you want to do it and that you know what you're doing. So caution here, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get really confused because you're going to have one inside of the other, blah, 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 right? And so they actually force you to unset the Tmux environment variable in order to do that. So for that purpose, I have created a command called tmuxin. And all tmuxin does is it runs tmux wherever it is on the system. That's what this does. It replaces the currently running executable. That's what exec is. With a running tmux, it loads the same configuration file and it passes all of the arguments exactly as they were passed to it, but it first unsets the tmux window. And by doing that, then I can do tmuxin and I get a tmux inside of a tmux. I can do it infinitely. I can now I have like tons of tmuxes all running inside of another tmux, right? And the only way out of them easily is to just exit out. But you can see how you can kind of inception your way through Tmux by doing it that way if you want. Now, why would you possibly want to do that? Let me give you a really solid example of a very good reason to do this. The reason I invented this is because of streaming. So I have another script called Tmux Live, which it's been massively simplified since I stopped using WeChat as much lately. I mean, it used to be better. But what it does is it runs Tmux. As I said, you can pass scripts right to it, right? And this sets up its own name and everything, starts a new Tmux, runs the WeChat chat program in a split window, resizes the pane, and swaps the pane out. I'm telling you, you can do a lot with Tmux, right? So, and when you run this, it automatically, I don't know if you can see, but it runs Tmux-L, capital L live. So it creates a session called live. That's what the -L says. And then it makes another session that's not live. I know, it gets very confusing. I know it doesn't. This one doesn't. I still have to actually run it in there. This one does, though. This one actually does. Okay, so watch. I'm going to try this. I do need to make sure I don't dox anything, though. So let me try something. Tmux. I haven't tested this one in a long time. So now it looks like it's. I have to check the WeChat pane. Give me 1 second. And the colors are off because I haven't fixed that yet. In fact, it still has the boost stuff. Time for the next boost. Oh, this is going to be fun. All right, give me a sec here. Yeah, it's not working as much. Okay. So I can show you I can use this to help you understand. So right now I don't have, it's got the stupid colors because I was getting in the middle of doing it. Before, when I did this, it would actually start up WeChat in the bottom window, okay? Automatically, and it's not doing that right now because this particular system's not set up for that. But I can, and I've deliberately left the default Control B for the outer shell Tmux, and then I use the Control A for the inner stuff. So, and that way I can send commands to either Tmux session. And here's the main reason why. So let's say I want to split right there, right? I still use the slash for that. And I want to put Neo on here. Now let's put do we have T matrix? C matrix it is then. All right, so we put C matrix on that, right? And we want to have this visible on all the windows. By the way, I'm using Control B to resize. I'm still using my VI key mappings that I have, right? And the way I did that is that you can tell what configuration file you want to use by passing -F to Tmux. So when I started the outer layer Tmux, I passed capital -L, which says name it a separate session, and also give it a different configuration file. This file has Control B for the leader, which is the default, right? Now you're like, well, I mean, you can do anything down there. Right? You can have chat down there. You can do anything, but the important thing is that it's present on every screen. All right. Now here is the kicker. Let's say I want that pane to be visible on every session, but otherwise I want everything to behave just like Tmux, right? So I can now start a Tmux in here. I get that wrong. Oh, Tmux in. So I can have a Tmux in here. And do you see this? Look at this distinction. So we have, if I were to get rid of the blank pane. Oops. All right. So if I go over here and I do, I don't know. What can we do over here? Something different. What can we do? That's fun. Sunrise. So we can run sunrise. I mean, this is getting crazy. You can tell that this has got a problem with configuration too, because the colors aren't as clean, are they? You see that? You see how those colors are not as clean? Yep. So there's something going on there with my colors. I got to go back and fix. So anyway, now I'm kind of annoyed by that. But see, now watch. You can do like every time I do a new window, it hasn't affected my pane at all. So my other pane down here is fine, right? And I can, this is all this stuff is in the top pane because it's a full blown separate tmux session. When I close, remember my fancy command for closing, it does it all, but it only affects everything inside of that top pane of the outer pane because that's an inception kind of enclosed version of it. And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. This is whether you're running, C matrix down here, or, something else that's more significant, you can do that. No, I'm not doing video games. Obviously. So you see what I'm saying? So you can like set it up and that could be chat or whatever. And you could do this whole thing and do it that way. If you, that's it. That's all I have to say. I mean, the only difference between this and the other tmux window is the live it's almost exactly the same, except for that it had, different colors, obviously, and the leader key is not overtaken. It still uses the B as the default leader key. So that's really it. You'll see this is, people know me from streaming from before. Well, remember, I used to have this at the bottom all the time. I'd have the date, and I would, I was always showing, this is the ISOSEC, and this over here is the number of, I think it's days. That's not days, is it? Is that hours? Oh no, this is how long the boost has been going on. That's what that is. In hours, I think. Seconds, minutes, hours, days. There's something wrong there. There's a bug there. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, it's a counter. So I used to do that. And then I realized I didn't need to throw that screen real estate away anymore. So I got kind of rid of that. Mostly because of the whole IRL streaming thing. As soon as I started IRL streaming, I started realizing that living in front of a terminal is not the only way that I want to stream. And I love terminals, don't get me wrong, but that was not going to do it for me. So then I just started using my regular tmux and going about that way. And I don't regret it. So I'm going to be doing more of the traditional changes to everything. Now, through overlays and stuff like that instead of just using terminal. I think terminal is really great, but I also don't feel like terminals are a kind of a nice niche thing, but I've seen people that are still kind of stuck on the whole terminal only thing, the way I started out having a lot of fun with that, right? And using retro terminal, one of the first ones actually. And and I've seen a bunch of other streamers do that. I've seen other people do really complex things with like subscription and text-based animation and stuff in the terminal. And I appreciate it. Believe me, I really appreciate it. But I also feel like it's kind of been played out, and it's like, I love my fishies. Don't get me wrong. I'm never giving up my fishies. Fishies will be here forever. But it's like, okay, you're terminal, whatever. And so I don't hold anything against people that want to start using some of the more advanced things that can be done with Twitch in terms of overlays and stuff. And there's people that do all kinds of things with that. But in terms of like doing work every day, I'm going to maintain tmux kind of interactions. So running tmux within another tmux. And why? All right. I'm at fishing. If I actually do eventually want to add different people and fishes and stuff like that, but I'm nowhere near able to do that yet because that's all ASCII art, right? And it's great. I think it's cool and everything, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it because it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the effort. Anyway, so let's move on. We've got, I don't know. Let's check our time. So 522, we have 30 minutes, about an hour left to go over the last thing I wanted to cover in terms of configuration. And these are the three things that I usually get set up on any system where I'm going to be searching. Now, so far, so let's just recap here, and I'll zoom in. I'll do a close-up for you. So far, when it comes to configuring your terminal, if you're on like a new server and you want to have your stuff, right? You just need to copy over your bashrc, your vimrc, and your tmuxrc. That's it. Those three things, for the most part, will get you everything you need. Now, beyond that, you might want your dir colors file. You might have one or more, scripts that you want to move over, or your own bonsai tool. There's a number of things you might actually want to move over there. But if you just want to be productive and have your favorite stuff, those are the only three files you need to move. And you can make it so that you can do that in one command. So, that's a way. But the next thing that we're going to talk about is a configuration that I need to document that I don't use anywhere but my main system. And that is for searching the internet using the command line. And I've done lots of videos on this before. I've answered questions constantly about it, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it again. And I'm going to talk about the configurations for doing that and why searching from the Linux command line and why. So you see me do this all the time. Yesterday I was doing it constantly. So how do I change DNS server on Ubuntu 22? And you can say change DNS from the command line. Okay, there we go. How long did it take me to find that? Like seconds, right? Less than a second. That kind of searching from the web is completely inefficient. You have to read through crap. You can't be sure the text. There are a number of advantages from research and text-based searching that are quantifiable, not just to terminal people, but to like people who know about learning and the science of that. So the first advantage of it is that text-based research, even though it's text, your eyes are already scanning text, right? You're already scanning text. That's the same font. That has the same contrast and everything. So your eyes don't have this cognitive overhead of having to switch to a different font and a different medium and a different window and all that stuff. You can just stay right with it, right? And sure, it might be garbled. Sure, it might not be there. Sure, 25% of the time, you're going to be getting problems because it's going to have JavaScript. And then you're going to scream bloody murder and put them on your shit list, like me. Because there's no need to do that, by the way. Yeah, it gets all of it out. It can't be traced. There's no cookies unless you want to put them on. I've turned mine on just so that I don't have other problems. It gets rid of the ads. It sometimes will bypass paywalls even. Yeah. And so, you don't, when you're doing research, when you're trying to get an answer fast, you do not like creativity. I'm a big fan of creativity. Get your creativity out of my facts and my documentation. Get it out of there. And by the way, for the record, the original World Wide Web was designed to put the power for styles and reading in the hands of the consumer, the reader, not the creator. And Netscape came along and threw that out the window. And ever since then, now we got the web that we got now. If you know what I'm talking about, if you're ever on a Kindle, anybody ever try to read stuff, CSS completely? Absolutely, yeah. There's no CSS. Text-based and 3D websites only. I think that's the way it should be. I think, look, there are many ways for using the web. One of them is as an applications platform. One of them is as a broadcast and a streaming platform. The primary and original way to use the web, unfortunately, is text. It's to use documentation to discern people that are doing the Hadron Collider. They wanted to exchange information quickly with everybody all across the world. They were tired of email. They made the World Wide Web primarily as a reader. And that's why when you look at the very first World Wide Web browsers, they're almost exact clones of modern Kindle readers. Because the Kindle reader, it's like you can change the font size, you can turn it up, you can say, I don't want your pictures. Some of them you can. Anybody ever been forced to read a Kindle thing that doesn't let you change all that stuff? And you're like, oh my God, get it away from me. Because you can't change it, you can't read it, you can't consume it like in a reasonable way that you want to consume it in. So the web is, I'm not yelling at people who are creatives and artists and who are using the web in that way. I think it's amazing. I think it's beautiful. I love it. I enjoy doing it myself. But there are different modes of using the web. And when people conflate the two, when they try to express themselves all pretty and organically and put it behind Flash and all this other crap, and they are slowing me down, and I get mad. I get really mad, especially if you cannot even read documentation unless you have JavaScript, which I believe is like one of the worst cardinal sins of all web development, because it is directly against the principle of progressive design. And if you don't know what that are and you're a web developer, you should be fired. Progressive design says that you use the least amount of technology available to the browser, and then you build on that. So if you want to express yourself and be fancy, you want to use crazy things, fine. You detect those things and you progressively add on to your rendering based on that. And the people who talk to you about progressive design, some of them are the first ones to make a website that does documentation that requires JavaScript. And I'm looking at you, Rust Docs, and a number of other people that do this. IBM's entire documentation site's absolutely ridiculous. If you want to get me like really just spewing profanity, get me at any time to talk about this, because it is the destruction of the knowledge network that we've come to love so much so don't get mad, get busy that I have been building out a specification for this called the Knowledge Exchange Grid, which would even get rid of HTML, and it would all just be Markdown. Just Markdown, because then we could search it reliably. We wouldn't need Google. We could actually make, our own semantic web, not a broken one. We could actually say there's only this much in it. So if you're interested in the Knowledge Exchange Grid, stay tuned over time. I'll start picking up work on it again. But it's basically content that we control, that we cache, that we index on our own terms, that doesn't have a need for an internet search engine at all. And it basically combines the successful ideas of subscription and following and replication with rsync and signing with GPG to prove the person is who they say they are, and all of these wonderful things. And it's something I've been working on since 2016. It was called the Essential Web, and then it went back to the Knowledge Net, and now I think we're on the Knowledge Exchange Grid, which is KEG by default. So I actually built PEG. I wrote PEG to help parse Markdown more efficiently. And we are actually going to throw out HTML completely. We were going to make the new basis of the Knowledge Exchange Grid Markdown, period. No Markdown with HTML, no translation HTML. Markdown is the language of the Knowledge Exchange Grid. Because of your streams on KN? Did you really? Oh, Cherry, that's very nice. I am coming back to it. I don't want anybody to think back to Gopher. Yeah, it's funny because Gopher actually got so many things right. It really did. But there's still a lot wrong with it. So we can do better. Really, all it comes down to is just data in an organized way. It's not even that hard. It's just getting people to do it. And I want to help with that. So anyway, that's my thing about that. So back to but how about left to right languages? I've never done a right to left language. That's a fair question. I don't know. It's never been a problem for me. Yeah, did you try that in W3M? So there's two text-based browsers that I want to talk to you about right away, okay? The first one is, I'll just tell you right away what I have softened my position on this. I used to be not a fan of it, and now I'm kind of like, yes, it's fine. But yeah. Differences between W3M and Lynx. And about this time, there's a ton of text-based browsers, okay? And I don't want to get into them all. They all pretty much suck except for these two. And most of the reasons that they do is one of them even requires you to have Chrome installed, which is so stupid. I can't even have words. So there's like e-links and all that stuff. They're all a pain in the butt to use really reliably and quickly. W3M, however, is probably the best out of the gate with just using the defaults, which includes VI by default, VI bindings by default, and so it just does everything right. Okay, it's intuitive. Okay, so look, I just opened it with no configuration whatsoever, and I already know what to do. Right? I use links, and I'm going to talk about why. But with configuration. So W3M, I'm showing you W3M because anybody today can use W3M without doing anything but installing it. So sudo apt install W3M and you're good to go, right? And you like look up and down. I'm just using my arrow keys for this, right? This also has VI key bindings, right? So this is pretty damn good. And it's the reason I mention it is because it's intuitive. You're scrolling down by hitting the end of the page and everything, right? Now I find this method to be too tedious. There is a way to, I think it's tab. Tab goes to the bottom of the page. I mean, you have to go look at the other defaults, but the defaults are pretty reasonable. And when you get on a link, you just push enter and which is a space. Oh, space goes to the link, I think. I don't even know what goes to the link. I'm gonna push H. Wait, question mark. No, question mark goes backward. Viewing. Oh, I think I have to do. I don't know. I honestly don't know. How do I follow a link? Oh, it is enter. Those weren't links. Those were just underlines. Okay, I got confused there. How do I go back? Yes, go back. I don't know W3M very well. But if that's what you want to burn into your muscle memory, that's totally fine. The reason I kind of was sour on W3M is a B. The reason I was kind of sour on W3M was because the first people that presented it to me presented it as a way to get your images in line. And I was like, what the hell? And so it actually turns out to be an edge case. It's not in the default. And it really tainted me wrongly. I didn't give it. I mean, so I went to try to change it and see what I could see here. I see now that these underscores are just accents and stuff. So to go to any of the links, you just go over the link and you push enter. Let's try to go. Let me see if I can actually go back. And go B. B goes back. B. Is it capital B? Capital B. Oh, see, no way. See, that takes two hands. No. I want my web browsing to allow me to get a drink with one hand and use everything in my right hand. This is a huge factor for me. I've gotten so good at searching and drinking my coffee while I'm searching with one hand that anything that forces me to put my cup down is not going to make it with me. So if you, I mean, this is why people were doing the web thing, right? There, if you have to type stuff, it's like, no, that's like, but I want to be able to search quickly and I do it all the time. So that's probably the main reason I use links. Now, a couple of things to say about W3M before we leave it. Okay. W3M is by far a much, more modern and more, standards compliant and more up-to-date, text-based browser. It's hands down the best of the best when it comes to text-based browsers. But Gemini Protocol, I've heard all about it. I saw that. I really, really want to like Gemini, but they miss so many bases on things that I want to see. Same notes. Yes. Gemini is actually, they just came so close. And I really want them to succeed. Maybe I've considered getting involved with the Gemini protocol and seeing if I can kind of maybe steer it toward in a direction that's consistent with what I want to do for Keg. But I don't know if it's worth the work or not. And I haven't had any time to do any of that lately. I've been doing all kinds of other things. But yeah, it's really, really great. So the Gemini protocol, in case anybody doesn't know, you can go watch YouTube videos about it, is something that came about because of all this problem we're talking about, right? It's not Gopher. It's more modern than Gopher, but it's also not the web. And there's a lot of people that are pushing it. I don't like that it's not using basic markdown. I don't like that it's, it doesn't have it loses an opportunity to get rid of search engines entirely. by adding a couple of semantic structures to the thing. There's a number of things that I don't like about it, but it's out there. You can go look at it. So anyway, so W3M is hands down your fastest entry into this. All you have to do is install it, start using it, right? There's no modifications. I mean, there's some you can make. There's another slight thing that you'll notice is that it automatically left justifies all the text, like all of it. So let's go look at the oopsie. Yes, let's go look for Golang IO. Oops. Oh, I can't search using W3M. Let me change my duck command. Yeah, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but let's do this. So let's do that. Let's say Golang IO. It's like I want to look up the docs on it. Progressive web design. Atomic design. Yeah. It's if you look up PWAs, that's the idea behind PWA. Anyway, there's some web developers don't know about it. They'll tell me I'm full of it. Progressive web design. That's what progressive means. The IO package in Go provides input parameters. All right, so to see how, I mean, the results are pretty good here. And by the way, the forms work way better on W3M than they do on Lynx. They're way better. So, and the color schemes are nice. I mean, you see how they did with the doc. You see how the formatting of the document looks a little bit better. They didn't color it. You could probably infinitely color all of this stuff and make it readable and everything. But let me show you that exact same page in Lynx, and then we'll go into Lynx. So if I do the same thing in Lynx, you see, okay, so right off the bat, I've applied a bunch of color schemes that I like. And the other thing I like is I really like the indentation. So Lynx adds indentation that to me is better than the block thing. That's just a personal preference though. I mean, I ultimately had to conclude that both of them are fine. It's more of a personal preference. When you go down here though, this gets kind of interesting. So you see how I'm reading all that code? And it left justifies the source code separately. And here we go. It's still got the, largely the same thing here. But do you see how stuff's indented? The W3M stuff does not indent for some reason. And I have a feeling that W3M is completely infinitely customizable. That's something you could definitely do. I just haven't done it. And Lynx out of the box, when in terms of indenting, just works the way I want it to. It's really important that I tell you, though, that Lynx does have some fundamental Markdown HTML parsing flaws. Occasionally, it will get a whole paragraph wrong, and it will put the wrong thing in the wrong place. But the indentation that Lynx has is the primary reason that I use it. Plus, I've been using it for years. Also, by default, I can use the whole thing from here. Now, I've got it set up so that instead of my VI keys going down the page, they jump to the next link. And usually I want a link. If I don't want a link, then I just push space. I just a space, and if I want to go up, I just go up with my arrow keys and I space, up, space, right? If I wanted to like rotate, like center in on something, then yeah, I'll hold Control N and PPP to go up and down. And that's a thing that works for WeChat. That's pretty basic. Holding Control down and doing N and P to go up and down is a pretty standard text thing. It's a pretty standard, across the board way of navigating. So that is my preference. Now, out of the box, Lynx is disastrously bad. I mean, it's just it's unusable. It's so slow. It's just so bad. So you can actually go try a container if you want. Yeah, we're going to do that next. So we're going to do the aliases next. Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to do how to configure Lynx. Now, I'm going to punt on this one because it's so annoying to edit links. And what I'm going to say to you is go check out that GitHub and look at the files that are there, understand why the files exist the way they do and where they go. Unfortunately, Lynx is still supported and everything, but it was made at a time when it was designed to be run on a multi-user system where it was kind of locked down and individuals didn't have their own base configuration for it until it wasn't. And it kind of has massive like technical debt because of that, which is why I told you about W3M first. But if you're still, courageous and you want to go for it, you can go in here and you can do it. So the first thing to know about Lynx is that you have to have, and this is in my dot files too, rdvx.dot on GitHub. And so I have written, there's a little section here. I didn't even prove you can now test this from a container. It might be the oldest browser, but blah, blah, blah. So here's this setup, and I'll go through it. So I go ahead and I make a .config file. We talked about the new free desktop standards for using .config, and I make my own. Lynx doesn't have a standard location for a config file. It just doesn't. It never has. And so I've chosen to make one, and what I do is if there's one already there, delete it, and then I link the configuration file that's in here to that. And so that's going to link to this directory. So this is literally the content of the config file. And so I have a CFG file, and we're going to go through this later. Lynx has two configuration files, a lynx.cfg, which is ancient. I mean, it goes back. It's not even a particular format. It's just a bunch of key value pairs. And lynx.lss, and no, it's not CSS. It's not CSS. This thing predates CSS by about 15, 20 years. So, it's been around for a long time. But I went in here, but this is where you change your colors. It's old enough to be covered by Vim, which I think is funny. Vim actually knows this format, so it's able to show you the colors and let you change them and stuff. So that's where you're going to get your color changes. And, of course, mine has been highly customized for my Groovebox theme. And then you have the CFG, which has a ton of stuff by default that I left in here. This is the only documentation of the configuration, by the way. It's not in the actual docs as far as I remember. And it has these weird .h2 things. I'm not even going to show you everything in here. I'm just going to bring out your attention to a few things. You might want to change your start file, or your help file. Help is important when you push question mark. I'm sorry. Oh, we're not doing it. You can, the default index file. Some of this stuff, though, is more important than other stuff. I'm trying to find some of it. I'm sorry if it's making you sick. It's making me sick. And this is why, W3M might be better if you don't want to go through this hassle. I definitely can't just copy over a file on a machine and have this work. I can do that with W3M. With W3M, all I have to do is go on my mini Mac and just, in fact, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do sudo apt install -yw3m. Oh, gosh, dang it. Golly jeepers, they need to make a quick key for this. Oh, boy. All right, so... yeah. W3M. There we go. There's your browser. Yeah. I mean, I still think it would be faster than Lynx to do it. I'm still really on like the fence on this stuff. Oh, I already do that. Yeah, I have an automatic thing that has it. Oh, look at Twitch. Hey, look at Twitch on W3M. Has no clue what to do. Same with Discord. Has no clue, man. I wonder if GitHub does it better. Oh, that was another thing. So GitHub pages are slightly better on here. Yeah. Yeah, they're slightly better. I mean, I could do it if there's a way to actually get this to go to the next link using the VI keys. I would be really tempted to switch over to W3M. I'd be really tempted, but not yet. Not yet. So I have all of this stuff here. The tools here. You know. I mean, but if you prefer to not do this stuff and you got Docker, I mean, you can do that whole Docker thing, right? You can just do Docker run it, RWX rob lynx, Docker run it, rex rob lynx, and that you'll actually will run my version of lynx, and you can alias that. You can alias it to be like rwx.gg, and then we'll go to the same one. See, doesn't this look better? I think this looks better, personally. It did better with Twitch. It did better with this. So Discord it did better with. And GitHub it did better with. So if you don't want to go to all that localized customization, just run the Docker stuff. Right? If you do want to go through it, then make sure you understand what's in the setup file. And if you do that, you have to add the lynx command. Now this is where things get really hairy. I always lose people on this. This is one of the few the ways that you can actually cause an infinite loop while you're from the command line. So what I've done is I've created a lynx command. I've created a lynx command that has preference over /lynx. All right. Now, this gets a little bit weird, right? Because I have this other lynx command, but, you know, it's going to run user bin lynx. So if I run user bin lynx by itself, this is what I get. Right? The colors are horrible, and if I want to follow a page, like watch, check it. So if I go to rwx.gg, it's like it goes to HTTPS. Look at how long it has to wait. If there's cookies, it'll like wait around forever. See, using it. See there? This is the most annoying thing. You see how it says it's like, do you want to accept this cookie? And it asks you every freaking time. So like, how do I turn that off? You know, and you could just say never, but you have to do it for every single thing that you ever go to. Never. I mean, it was designed based on a different set of standards just to get this right. So, you know, and the colors are just horrible. So to get around that, I have created my own lynx command. Yeah, I know. So I have created my own lynx command that defines the full Linux path. And then if there is a lynx, then go ahead and there's that, then go ahead. And this is another thing. So dev.to, some of you might know it, right? Or dev.io. Dev.to or io, I can't remember. Dev.io and Rust documentation, both of them stop links from working because it qualifies as as malware. And the reason for that is because Lynx was once used as malware to crawl entire sites. And so it's been listed as malware out there a lot. It doesn't have any malware in it. It was just been listed as that. So you have to lie. So you have to actually, this is why if any of this is a hassle to you, just use W3M and be done with it. Right? W3M is approved everywhere. But so what we're doing right now is we're lying to everybody anytime, which is funny because I browse the web tons, and as far as the web is concerned, I'm a Mac out there. Anytime I do any research, everybody thinks I'm on my Mac and I'm on Mozilla. I'm like Firefox or something, right? And I put links at the end on purpose just because I wanted people to know that I'm actually using links here. And only a certain number of people are even going to see that, let alone understand what's up. Anyway, so then I should probably use double brackets here. I wrote this a long time ago. So this says if there's a config file, use it. If there's a coerce file, use it. And if there's no links, just say there's no links. So we did bash scripting so that you would understand this. Remember I said we had to do bash scripting first before we did configuration because we'd have to do bash config and then things like this would pop up. Well, this is an example of where a bash script has saved the day in my case. And I use usability env because I don't care where it is in that one. That's all I have to say about browsers. So the next and final thing that we're going to talk about today is going to be how this is all well and good, Rob, but this does not help me search from the command line. And that is the final thing I want to talk about today. And we're going to be doing a lot of searching because next week we're going to be doing Go, right? So we're going to be looking up questions all the time. So, and you already know how to code in Bash. So we're going to show you how to make a program that can do the searching for you. And initially you'll think it's probably an alias. It's actually not. It's a program because you might want to do it some other way, right? So there's two programs involved in my setup. One of them is a program called duck, which is in my dot files. You can go find that in there. But there's not much to it. It's just a POSIX shell script that just execs lynx and it passes the URL. Now remember, lynx in my case is the other bash script that I just showed you, right? And as I already also showed you, you could replace this with W3M and be good without any extra stuff. And I went to an exceedingly, you forgot the end. So if you're looking for dot files, there you go. So it's CMDS. So if you go, the URL equals whatever light, right? And this thing has changed a lot over the years. And just make sure we get the DuckDuckGo version. Some of these settings, I don't remember which one, they actually tell it that you don't want it to redirect. And you need to do that because otherwise it'll time you out and do different things. There's another program called URL encode, which I shamelessly ripped from the internet as is, and URL encode. That's right. And it's a shell script for URL encoding, which is pretty damn cool. So I know how it works, but explaining it right now is really kind of not in the scope. This magic, this is POSIX, man. I made it bash. I turned it into a bash script, but this part down here is completely POSIX compliant. The fact that it can do this just blows my mind. So it's so intelligent. If you can get to the point where you can understand what's going on here, more power to you. This is really crazy weird. But see, this adds to the encoding numbers, and then it does the translation. It does the wrong encoding. Anyway, it's really neat. What is URL encoding? So URL encoding is when you do this, right? Like echo something URL encode. You see that, and it like takes those numbers and makes them so that it can be passed, right? Well, you can't do a search unless you have stuff that's URL encoded. So that's one you might want to add to your list. It's also a candidate for Z. I need to rewrite that. I mean, there's already tons of stuff that does URL encoding. It's part of the standard library. But yeah. And so that was duck. So all this does is it composes a URL with a URL encoded query string. And anybody, okay, here's a quiz. What does this mean? Why is this not an and sign? Let me write it out a bit. Why did I use the star instead of that? There's a little review of your shell scripting. A little review of your shell scripting knowledge. This is a big one. What is the difference between star and an at sign? All the args, right? Squishes them all together. Yes. Okay, good. And then down here we have like different variations of it that have not worked or have worked over time. I've been all over with this thing, right? So here's what happens, right? So we do duck something. So the reason I have it like this is because I don't want to have to type quotes every time. The only time I have to quote anything is if I have a comma or something in there. Otherwise, I can type it really quickly, right? And then the final piece of this is adding the alias for question mark to duck. So something is literally the same thing as duck that thing. Okay, that's it. And now I've gone ahead and added 2 others. Sometimes an answer doesn't come up in DuckDuckGo. So I have one called Google, which does exactly the same thing. Here's Google results. Google is 2 question marks for me, right? And I have a Bing one. I added that some time ago. I have a Bing one. I don't go there very often, but I have a Bing, and Bing is 3 question marks. And the reason I chose to do the question mark thing is that sometimes I'll search and go. I mean, I'll search in DuckDuckGo and it won't be there. And I'm like, okay, well, let's try Google. And all I have to do is just insert a question mark, and I'm on Google now, right? And so let's take a moment to talk about the value of searching from the command line. We've already talked about, text-based browsing and how fast it is to get information quickly and glean over it. But there are a number of other subtle advantages to doing this that integrate well with a terminal-based workflow. So the first one is that I use all the time is, so let's say I'm doing a search and I want to say let's do one I just did recently. So Ubuntu and net, was it NetTool? What is it called? Is it NetTools? It's not NetTools. It's NetPlan. That's it. NetPlan. So let's say we have a NetPlan thing, right? Ubuntu Bionic NetPlan. So there's this. I'm on this page. I'm browsing. I'm reading. I'm like, oh man, this is really interesting. By the way, because it's Tmux, look what I can do. I can go over here. Remember that whole Tmux stuff? Tab, enter. Okay. I'm going to go over to a new window and I'm going to edit my file on NetPlan. I have a thing on NetPlan that's already here, and I want to insert some text. Insert, bam, there's my text, right? Because Tmux, my friends. So I did Tmux there. So now I'm cutting and pasting between edited VI docs and Tmux, and a link session, right? But more importantly, let's do this. Let's say I want to provide a link, and here's where the integration comes in. So every single file that gets bookmarked in links, and the bookmark is just A, and it said, do you want to bookmark to the current link or to the document? I say D for document. I can mess with the title and push enter and it saves it. And then I can go back and I can say, I want to put that hot link in my document without leaving the document. Remember the whole filter Unix thing? Bang, bang, links A. So links A is a command that grabs the last entry from the bookmarks list, it translates it into Markdown, and inserts it right there. So this is one of the advantages of this whole entire thing, because you're now, all of your text-based browsing and everything you're doing is feeding into any other resource management program system you have that's already using Emacs or VI or whatever you want. So that's pretty cool. I mean, because without that, it would be a pain in the butt. So here's my links A. This uses nothing but bash. There's no Perl here. This grabs the links bookmarks file, converts it with Pandoc into Markdown, and then turns wrapping off and sits it right here. So, and I can type links A here, so I can put it anywhere I wanted to if I want to. If I do 2, I think if I do 2, I get 2. I can get like the last 10, and so I get the thing. So. But that goes for, your searching stuff. So that's the thing. But more importantly, let's say I'm like, because I just left that window, right? I'm like, damn, I left the window. What was that search thing I was doing for, right? I remember I was doing a search for, so I'm now doing a VI mode search of my history for / and by the way, how do you do that, right? So it's control left bracket or escape. I can go up and down just like VI, but now I want to find something. So I'm like, when's the last time I searched for NetPlan? I can go search for it, and I can do n, and I can look through all of my searches that have nplan in my history. Everything that has anything to do with nplan in my history or my searches. And now you can see that I have a Zettelkasten that was created for it. I didn't close out that other window, it looks like, so let me close this. Yeah, and that's cool because I actually needed that, so that's good. And then that git commits it. That's my Zet thing. We're not going to cover that in the boost. I mean, we might, but I'm in the middle of redoing it, so I think this is the one we need to go through. No, we need a new one. We need a new one. So now if I search, there it is. See how it says something? I should be able to find it. There we go. Oh, here's a question I had. Is there a way to combine all the things for net in a home lab? Okay, so let's search for net plan. There's the same net plan. I guess my search for the net plan hasn't popped up yet. It will show up in there eventually. So if I do, net plan, and I search it, and then I quit, hey, thanks, and then, it's going to be there, right? So net plan and like show. So this is particularly true because like there are sometimes like I have put really long-winded explanations in my history file. The bottom line of all of this is everything becomes bash history. Everything. Search history, bash history, what notes I've taken, what the titles of them are, what systems I was on, it all becomes a part of my history, for better or worse. And then I can go and check that out and find it the next day. Let me think of something that I might need to look for. So like, CoroSync, right? So no, how about Proxmox? What have I searched for on Proxmox? How many nodes are required for Proxmox quorum? Okay, so I can find all the searches I did. Proxmox can't add existing node. The thing that's really crazy about this is if all I need to do this, I haven't done it, is just add a regular cron job that mines out my own search history from my history. Some people might not want it, but I do. Some people might want to, go look at that. But I can mine all those out and put them in a separate file so that I could actually pre-populate searches anytime I hit the question mark, if I wanted to. I could definitely do that. I could write my own completion engine for the duck command and have it actually go search for all the other stuff that I've searched for and have it autocomplete. And I don't have to depend on Z-Shell or anything for that. So here's all of the searches I've done on Proxmox, and Proxmox web server stopped answering. Totem has been received, restart network. So all my error messages that I've found, I'm almost done. And I can go search through everything. What is Proxmox? So, and I can just, go back and forth, and I can find it all. So that is my case to be made for learning to do searching and browsing and writing from the command line, because all of the other advantages that apply to you during your, any kind of hacking or developing session, and particularly, this is particularly good for hackers because, I mean, anybody will tell you. I remember John Hammond making a really big deal. It was asking him, like, what's the number one thing or something. And he was really punching note taking. He's like, you have to have a solid note taking strategy to be a cybersecurity expert, because the entire time you're doing it, you're like taking notes. You got to go back and remember it. Plus you got to prepare a report at the end. And if you don't take good notes, you're like, how did I do that? I don't remember. And now you got to write your report. Your report is 50% of the job in pen testing, as I understand it. So, you got to do all that work, and that's a big part of note-taking and searching and research. And research and note-taking, I mean, come on. Those are like the top two things in the operations field. You got to be able to do them wicked fast, like way faster than anybody else, especially if stuff's going downhill. If you've already got stuff that's broken, being able to get to information fast is the answer. How to Google better than your buddy, right? Or your competitor or whatever. I mean, if that's the way you think, but so I'm going to put advantages of text-based browsing and workflow. So I personally love it. People complain about it all the time. I continually find random YouTubers that are like just bitching about the terminal. And I just got to shake my head. I'm like, okay, that's fine for you. But I'm so convinced that you can be so much more efficient on so many levels from the terminal after a good year of investment in the time that it's totally worth it. Are you going to be able to bust out this kind of like interaction? No, not on the first month. No, it's going to take you at least a year, probably less. But anybody will tell you anything worth doing is going to take a while, time to practice it. You know, I watch people on Twitch playing violin or harp or drums or even the DJs. You know, they've got these rigs that are monstrously complex, and they've figured them out because they put the time in. So, you know, this boost series has been hopefully a one way to get going with that. And we've moved rather slowly, I hope. It feels really slow to me, so that's good because last year, you know, and the year before that, we moved kind of too quickly, I think, and we jumped over a bunch of stuff. That's all I have for today. So I'll be putting this video up tomorrow at 9, and y'all can do that. Next week is going to be Go, so we'll be doing it from the command line. If you do not have a boost VM, or you have not got some way to use Linux on the command, we're going to do all of our programming from the command line using VI and Tmux. So it's super important that you know, are familiar with that. You can still participate in the Go portion of what we're going to do without that. You can definitely do that. But I think it's important that you know, you at least know where we're coming from. So, if you want to use Golang or whatever, and we're not even going to really talk about that next week. We're just going to jump right in, and we're going to assume that this is how you're doing your development. And if you want to, you know, look at it that way, some other way, go for it. And I've debated about whether to make the Go content separate from the boost, because technically it's Go and it kind of stands on its own. But I'm not. And the reason for that is because we're going to be writing some automated testing tools, and we're going to be approaching Go from the exact same perspective as how I do my development. And we're going to be, you know, doing Bonsai and a bunch of things that relate to creating commands to go in your dot files and things that play well with the whole, you know, configure your terminal life sort of idea. So that's that. We're just going to start from that, and it's going to be a part of the boost every year. What we cover in, I know when I started, we talked about covering some specific things, including possibly a Discord bot and some stuff. I'm not ruling it out, but I've been sort of regrouping and thinking maybe we need to stick with some, you know, smaller mnemonic projects. Those have worked for me since 2013 at SKILSTAK. So I'm probably going to be doing the same really, 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 really silly, contrived, but memorable projects until we finish those. And when we finish those, maybe we'll put them all together, and you know, you can like branch out and combine all those skills into making something that's more valuable than just an exercise. The stuff that I'm going to be doing with you falls very solidly in the exercise space. Stuff that you can do rapidly, that you can repeat to make sure you remember it, that has a beginning and an end, that can be finished within a day or two. I call them mnemonic mini projects because they're designed to flex your coding muscles and in a way that's fun and hopefully memorable. And then you can, like, the next after that is just to step out into some of these bigger projects. Even, you know, like a Discord bot would be a bigger project, or to use Bonsai to make your first command. That would probably be another one. So we're going to do, the way I have it planned right now, we're going to do a series of mnemonic mini projects, however long that takes. And then we're going to do 1 or 2 or 3 actual projects, you know, that are not they're unfamiliar. One of them will be a Bonsai project, and one of them will be a network related project, whether it's writing a microservice or, you know, it's talking to a Discord bot. I don't know which, we'll find out. But it will be related to networking, because we're going to cover networking at that time. And that's it. That's it. We're going to, you know, a utility. So that's where we're going to go. And without typing specific user, that's my default user. It's in my host config. Yeah, we covered that some time ago. Yeah, you can go read about SSH config. They're all in here. So it uses my default username, but there's lots of things you can put in there. Yeah. I think it's SSH underscore config is the thing to read about. There you go. And this will give you all the options you can put in there. And there's no way I can cover them all in the boost, but that's what's up with that. There's also another command that I can actually demonstrate to you really quickly. So mini 1 has already got it set up. But if I SSH to mini 2, you'll see that oh wait, that's interesting. Did I do that one as well? Okay, so here's one that doesn't work. See how this one wants my password? Right? So let me show you this is an SSH thing as we go out, right? So there's a command called SSH copy ID. And if you do that, it will prompt you once for your password. I'm going to hide. Hopefully I won't dox my password. It's not that, it's kind of a silly password, so I just don't want to get in the habit of doing that. Okay, so, and now, after it adds it back, check it. So now when you do it, when I do SSH to mini 3, it'll just log in, right? So what it did is it added my public key to the known host or to the authorized keys file. And it's way easier to do that than to try to remember all the steps necessary to add that. If you don't know that. We covered SSH on the first day or second day of the boost. So if you want to go back, you can probably find it there. It's really hard to find stuff though, because I don't have any of the, I have very little of it documented. I need to go through the videos again and like write about what was covered in each section. I tried, but just so much stuff. I mean, if I spend all this time talking through this and writing about it at the same time, we would never get done. It would take forever. So hopefully you're taking your own notes as well. And you can come back and just do that. You can bookmark and all that thing. That is all, my friends. So thank you for being here. I'm going to go back to building my server when I come back. And I don't know how long I can stay with that. It's been pretty fun so far, though. So I might end up playing some games too and drinking, but we'll see. So have a great Sunday, and we'll see you later.